Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. As this evening, the drivers of the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series get prepared to finish out the regular season. 3 different storylines out to be seen. Who's taking the regular season championship? Who's making the playoffs? And can someone that is outside of our top 16 maybe get a win and get themselves into the playoffs? Tons of great racing action, and it's at the drama-filled Las Vegas that the drivers get prepared for, as tonight's race is the ISRC 225 at Las Vegas. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is going to be Zach Hall. Zach, tonight's going to be an interesting one. It's the end of the season and a track that has so much history for this truck series.
It has a ton of history for sure, Sam, and it's going to be, I think, some history added tonight here, of course, with it being the end of their regular season. I'm just thoroughly excited, man, with what kind of racing we're going to see here tonight, because we got 25 trucks, and I don't think you're going to see much separation between those 25 trucks tonight once we get this green flag dropped, and it's going to be quite the show, I think, for all the fans out there.
Before tonight, Las Vegas has been ran 4 times in the past. Season 1, 2, and 3 were all ran. They took season 4 off, came back last season for season 5, and each time they've been here, a different storyline. Season 1, it was the teammates taking each other out that gave Danny Cochran the win in season 1. Season 2, Danny Cochran found himself in more of an issue as he found himself being involved with an intentional wreck that he did to Trenton jump. And then in season 3, Danny Cochran got the redemption, being the big cash winner of the season 3 race. And then last season, probably the most sad race for a lot of the fans and as well for the drivers, Mark Morales a lap away from grabbing his first ever win in the ISRC Truck Series, but spun himself out off the nose of GT Rosari, who found himself in victory lane that night. But this evening, we head down to trackside. We get ready for qualifying, because this could be one of the more important positions of the race. Zach, based off how we've been hearing from the drivers and a little bit maybe for us ourselves practicing, qualifying and track position going to be very important this evening.
Very, very important, Sam. I tell you, there's not going to be much separation throughout the field, so it's not like qualifying out back is going to set you way back, but what it's going to do, folks, is it's going to put you in major traffic, and it's going to be a traffic jam here in Las Vegas. Let me tell you that, because it's going to be 2, sometimes maybe even 3 lanes of trucks just side by side, and when it's like that here, it's very hard to go forward. So this qualifying session right here going to be critical, just to giving you that track position, because if you're not in that front 5 to 6 positions, in my opinion, in this field, it's going to be very, very tough to be able to battle for a lead when it comes down to this race. So got to position yourself well here to start it off.
Been hearing drivers give reference to Las Vegas here tonight. It's going to be a little bit of super speedway racing with the pack racing up front, and then maybe a little bit of auto club. But everyone was saying the best place to be, either in the lead position or all the way in the back, because a wreck is looming everywhere on course. Currently the fastest driver after lap 1 going to go to Samuel Garcia, in the 50 machine. 116 of Joshua Kanata, part of the crew that is already locked in to make our top 16 in points. Quite a large margin of our playoff drivers have already locked themselves in for championship hopes. Our top about 12 drivers are in pretty good spots in points to move on. 12th place of GT Rosari, though, only 28 points to the good entering tonight's race. He's probably the last driver that's almost locked in to the playoffs. Everyone else in our top 11 are pretty solidified, but there's a lot of other close numbers we'll touch on later, as John Forbes is your top driver. Vincent Soar going to be second fastest. Those 2 drivers have their own storyline, both battling for the regular season championship between the 2, and that's just a 9-point difference. But here comes some of the last drivers hoping for some quick speed at the end as Justin Malarkey, haven't seen him for a while, but the 73 hoping to bounce his way forward as he's about to complete lap number 1.
That he is. Let's see what this lap can do on his second time around. As just seeing the board shake up there a little bit. Looks like Cody Reed puts himself up there with his teammate John Forbes in a 1-2 position. Now we'll see where Malarkey goes as Talmadge goes to 10th or second on the board. Looks like Malarkey going to stay back here in the 22nd position.
As our last driver to win at this racetrack, GT Irizarry. It was a fantastic fuel mileage race that came down to Mark Morales, GT Irizarry, and Matt Dyer, but it was GT who ultimately grabbed the glory over those 3 drivers. The 14 would find a little bit of extra speed. Other drivers also could be out for qualifying. Justin Smith and the 6 machine, as well as Joshua Freed and GT Irizarry. As Irizarry starting lap number 1, but looking at drivers and where they qualified, biggest shocker, the 7 of Cedric Hunter, all the way down in 25th position currently.
Very interesting, and I think the thing that happened to him, Sam, I actually went back and looked at it because he had 3, or the 2 laps that you get here in qualifying, but that second lap was invalidated. And I think what actually happened is he clipped the grass going through the tri-oval to come to the end of the lap. Just too much of a cut, and that got him off track. And right there, that was going to invalidate that second lap. And like we talked about, track position was going to be valuable. 26 is where that 7 is going to be now.
That's going to be a tough start all the way back in last place for Cedric Hunter, but another one of those drivers is pretty solidified in points. Should be making it to the playoffs unless a horrific issue of just not being able to start the race and not getting any points that way is the only way Cedric would not make the playoffs, as GT Irizarry exiting out of turn number 4, trying to stay off the grass but trimming it as close as possible, and across the line was 21st on the board after that first lap. Second lap, not going to be a big jump up for Irizarry. He'll stay in 21st position as John Forbes will take the top spot, as Forbes will enjoy the top spot. Right behind him is going to be Jared Talmadge, winner of season 2 at this racetrack. And Cody Reed, who has been so close so many times, going to be finishing out our top 3 as qualifying comes to a conclusion. Again, thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Hopefully you enjoy our coverage here on Monday night. Best way to show that you are enjoying our broadcasts throughout the season is hit that like button and share the broadcast, because tonight it's going to be a chaotic one as it's the last race of the regular season. We're going to move over to the points and show how close it is for some of these drivers to move on and make the playoffs. Only 16 drivers will be making the playoffs here tonight, and at the top of 16th and 17th we have a tie between Tyler Dengler and Dakota Moniz. Then just 2 points out is Jarrett Talmadge, 11 points out is Justin Smith, Mark Morales is 14 points out. And after our top 20, those drivers need a little bit more help, because if you get in the top 20 and have a win, that automatically locks you in, and that's kind of similar position that we're going to see Anthony Gaudio, Jesse Thornock, Thomas Green, and also Samuel Garcia. They're going to be those 4 drivers to watch out for to see if they can possibly get into the top 20 in points and win, as that's one of our major storylines. And top of the board, Zach, John Forbes, Vincent Sora, they've been the top of the class all season long.
That they have, and John Forbes getting that pole, that's going to be huge for him to start up front, get that lap led early for him, get some bonus points. He's going to want to try to take that regular season championship from the likes of Vincent Sora. But yeah, that battle at that cut line, it is going to be quite the battle. Even the likes of Aaron Kralik, Matthew Greathouse State, and even Joshua Free, in my opinion, still need to somewhat worry when it comes to points. So they got to have a somewhat decent night. But I tell you what, Jarrett Talmadge is the driver I think we're all watching to see if he can finally make his way in, and it's going to be is he going to knock out. I think it's going to be the big question.
It's going to be massive for themselves, who can find that great speed overall. To take a look at how the schedule's been looking throughout this season, how did we get to this point? Well, it started off with Ollie Fonseca grabbing the win at Daytona, and then it's been kind of either Nick Crawford or Vincent Sora rattling off their wins, with Danny Cochran winning at the Milwaukee Mile. But it's been kind of just the 2 drivers with the sparing wins from Danny Cochran and John Forbes in the middle.
That it has. I tell you that those 2 teams of CSR and Snowy Desert Racing, they have really been going back and forth with each other when it comes to wins, other than really than Ollie Fonseca. That's the only other winner out of that group. So we'll see if someone can break that stranglehold, or will much of that continue, because the playoffs are looming. This is when you want to be your best. So tonight is going to be that warm up before we head to Atlanta next week.
And after tonight, race 11, next two races, the first round of the playoffs, the round of 16, Atlanta and Bristol. As we have 2 minutes left in warm-ups, like we've been doing for the second half of this season, it's the pick'ems. Who do we think is going to find themselves into victory lane? Well, we're going to start off with my pick, and I'm going to go with the underdog pick. Under the radar, but has some sneaky speed. I'm picking the 16. Joshua Kanata is my pick to take the win here tonight. I'm basing that off of how I've seen the 16 practicing throughout this week. I think he might be placing himself in the right position to stay out of trouble and might find himself in victory lane. Zach, who do you got here tonight?
I'd say I love that pick, Sam, but I had to go with, I think, the driver that's going to be the most aggressive out there tonight. And I got to go with the guy that's set on pole. That's going to be 11 of John Forbes. I think he's going to be going out there trying to get that regular season championship and beat Vincent Sora, because he knows anything he can beat Vincent Sora in gives him confidence heading into those playoffs.
Hey, not a bad kid, not a bad pick. I think it might be that aggression on who's going to win. But here's our producer's pick, Robert Moyer Jr. He's going to go with the driver we've seen have aggression in the past. It's the 99 of Ethan Smith. And Zach, that's not a bad pick either. Ethan Smith, he's actually kind of shocked me, in my opinion, with how competitive he's been since returning, because I know he took a break away from iRacing and racing in general. He's not too far off from where he was before he stepped away from iRacing.
He has not really lost too much of a touch, that's for sure, because you got to think a lot of these guys have gotten better. So for him to come back and be already this close, it's a good sign for him. And I think tonight could be that equalizer. You know, it's a mile and a half, but more similar to that Daytona Talladega style racing where you kind of stay grouped up with each other. That is a very impressive pick. I tell you, he's definitely going to be a dark horse.
3 strong picks, but who knows who's going to steal the win here tonight. Again, if you're inside of the top 20, you're going to win. You're automatically locked into the playoffs. Otherwise, it's all about pointing your way forward. That's leading laps. That's getting up front and getting great stage points. And other ways you can get bonus points: 0 incident points. You get a 0x, you get 1 bonus point. Lead the most laps, you get 3 bonus points. And guess what? If you are outside of the top 20, you get a win. 10 extra bonus points that can be crucial to get you locked for a chance to make the playoffs. As warm-up period is over, qualifying's done, so is practice. It's about to be time to grid up for these drivers. 150 laps here at Las Vegas for the ISRC 225. As we take a look at our starting grid here shortly. Again, stage break going to be at the end of lap 40. We'll touch more on that after we take a look at our starting grid. Top of the board going to be the 11 machine of John Forbes. Second going to be Jarrett Talmadge, who just needs a very solid day today, and he can sneak his way into the playoffs. Cody Reed going to be starting out in third. Vincent Sora in fourth. Danny Cochran, 2-time winner of this racetrack, he'll be starting back in fifth. Thomas Green, he's got some quick speed, but can he get into victory lane? We'll find out. Starting in 6th position, Ali Fonseca starting in 7th. 8th is Joshua Kanata. Christopher Norris starts in 9th, and finishing out our top 10, it's going to be Nick Crawford in the 74.
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the 5 Truck of Dakota Maniz. Starting in 12th alongside him, it's going to be the 9 of Justin Campbell. 13th is going to be the 6 of Justin Smith, with 14th position being held by Mason Cassidy. 15th in qualifying is going to go to Aaron Kralik, with 16th going to the 34 Ryan Ferraro. 17th is going to be Router's pick of Ethan Smith back here in 17th. 18th is going to go to Martin Morales. 19th is going to be the 98 of Malik Kuntz. And rounding out the top 20 is the 20 of Jesse Gold.
Back in 21st, it's last season's winner of this racetrack. It's going to be the 14 of GT Irizarry. Joshua Freed will start in 22nd position. Tyler Dangler, who needs a massive points day as he comes in tonight's race tied with Dakota Moniz in 23rd. Samuel Garcia going to be starting in 24th. Justin Malarkey in 25th. And all the way back in last place, shockingly, it's the 7 of Cedric Hunter. Tonight's race, again, going to be 150 laps. Stage break at the end of lap 40. No fast repairs, only 4 sets of tires in pit road. But Zach, this stage break as well as the start of this race, 2 crucial moments these drivers got to be careful for in these early laps.
No doubt, it's going to be very interesting to see how this starts off too, with it, you know, just being right here in the dusk under the lights, and it's going to be a little bit hairy because we, you know, Sam, you even have a little bit of experience with this, but it is not the greatest handling truck on these first couple laps. Supposedly, these colder tires are going to be a handful, and I think these drivers are definitely going to have to be thinking about that when they come down to the end of this, or, you know, to start this thing.
I mean, it's going to be one of those things where we're figuring out how the driver's going to handle this track overall. But starting tonight, track temp's going to be a very nice 84 degrees ambient temperature, 85 degrees track temperature. The wind is swirling. It was up to 12 for a quick second. Now it's dropping. The humidity is down to 11%. And we will see a day to night transition. The lights are already on. It's just going to get darker. The track might get cooler. And these drivers know it's about to be go time here tonight. But overall, these first couple of corners are going to be very crucial. I know the drivers are nervous for this first lap. Maybe not the first couple of corners of 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 is where a lot of these nerves are settling in. Zach, if you're the drivers in the middle of this field, what do you think they're feeling right now? Oh, and some of them are in a transitional spot, 4 points to make the playoffs.
That's exactly right, Sam. Some of them are in such a crucial spot back here that if something happens where they, get knocked out of this race early, it's going to put them in a hurt, and the nerves are going to be high here. You just got to find a way to make sure to keep the fenders from getting bent up here, or worse, getting completely ripped off. So stay focused and watch out ahead.
John Forbes going to be that lead driver. Jared Talmadge going to be in second. The lead group drivers are ready to finish the regular season to figure out who's in, who's out. 16 drivers will make the playoffs. Will anyone surprise us here tonight? Let's find out as everyone's ready. Entering the restart zone, the ISRC 225 is underway. John Ford's going to get a good launch on the inside, but Jared Talmadge trying to stick it to the outside quarter panel as they're already 2 by 2. Who will think about 3 wide as they all stay in line through turn 1.
Great start from that bottom lane with the 2 teammates of Cody Reed and John Forbes as they rocket ahead of Jared Talmadge out of turn 2. It's Danny Cochran looking to slot up into third, and early they're dicing back and forth trying to find any lane.
Cody Reed trying to bounce to the outside lane, bring out a new scheme for tonight, honoring his mom with the Terry Labonte 5 machine and trying to get to the outside quarter panel. Won't be able to do so. Instead, lap lead for John Forbes as now everyone's staying 2 by 2, and it's going to be like this for quite a while for most of the night. I don't think we're going to see any single file racing until maybe 10 to 15 laps into this run. And while lap 1 is in the books, can lap 2 survive as they go into turn number 3?
Side by side, and Reed getting the big push from Jared Talmadge as this outside line seems to be working strong here early. And not a big surprise because it always seems like you get a bigger side draft on the right side of the trucks compared to the left side of the truck. So you can really pull that inside line back and really pinch them down. So I talked to a few drivers this week, and they said they felt like that middle groove was going to be the way to go.
Cody Reed leads that lap of John Forbes back to the point to get a sense of how just claustrophobic it is on the outside lane with Thomas Green trying to figure out where the double zero is going to go as he sees the 15 of Vincent Sora ahead, Christopher Norris on the bottom, and everyone's taking it pretty easy at this moment. And at least up front, everyone's staying cordial. When do you think you're going to see these drivers make some big moves, try to make some big passes? I think right now everyone's settling in. It's not the worst call in the world because I think everyone's kind of recognizing this is still going to be a long race. 40 laps is a lot before we get to that stage break.
That's right. I think you're exactly right about that, Sam. No reason to go out here and really overwork your equipment because at some point, they're going to be pack racing like this. But if we do stay green, tires will help. If you have a little bit better grip in your car and you can move around your truck onto the racetrack more than others, you'll be able to make those maneuvers that others probably can't. So you can do a good job of just kind of riding behind this pack and letting everything play out and even stay out of trouble a little bit by doing that.
Some drivers able to move forward, others taking their time right now as seeing the 34. It's going to be Ryan Ferraro trying to figure out how to get by the likes of the 9 of Justin Campbell. Eric Kralik not able to really settle in and make a pass just yet. It's kind of like a wall that you're stuck behind, just trusting that the trucks ahead of you are going to be making these moves forward as they settle in. Other drivers also trying to make their move forward. It's going to be Malik Kuntz in the 98 machine, and as well GT Rizari as drivers that really given up a lot of time. That's the 99 of Ethan Smith. Biggest loser has lost 5 positions, and Mark Morales in the 91. Both have lost over 5 or more positions from the start of the race.
Seems like a lot of this group just kind of riding along, trying to not overwork their equipment too much, but they get racing too hard back here and get too far behind. At some point, they're going to have to race each other, and that's going to slow them down because this front group is flying right now as they're staying side by side up front. And We've had Reed and Forbes change positions. Cody Reed there led a lap on the bottom. Now the outside looking strong with that 11 leading the way, with the 10 really pushing down the back straightaway.
It's pack racing, expecting to see similar type racing next week for the start of the playoffs as these drivers head to the new Super Speedway Atlanta. We're going to see 2x2 most of that race. Our top 13 drivers all in this lead pack, trying to stay in touch. It's been John Forbes up front leading the charge. I think for John Forbes, again, bonus points for the 11. Most laps led is 3 bonus points. That might be the goal for John Forbes, lead the most laps, so that he could cut into that gap of 9 points on Vincent Sora a little bit more.
That it will be. I'd say that's definitely the goal. Forbes definitely came in here, I think, with that on the mindset here tonight, and that that's really why I think more or less I really decided to pick him, Sam. It's just he always seems like a driver that's willing to go lead, and I think that's what strategy is going to be very beneficial tonight. The driver that just seeks that clean air, and I think that 11 just has that knack for it.
As John Forbes in the 10 machine of Jared Talmadge bump drafting their way. Also seeing Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran working as one. And, there was a cluster of about 6 drivers that were always practicing over the weekend and getting prepared for this race. It was Cody Reed, Danny Cochran, Ollie Fonseca, Joshua Kanata, and Christopher Norris and Nick Crawford that were just sticking together and always trying to put in laps, and a lot of it was a focus on pack racing, kind of understanding the airflow of how it might influence these drivers. The lead driver has so much control in Zach, where you can kind of touch on it a lot more, but drafting and dealing with dirty air and kind of using your rear end as a defensive mechanism, so interesting when you look at how these drivers have to handle it.
Oh, it is. It's very, very interesting. It's actually a really big subject that just came out of the recent NASCAR Cup race at Dover. A lot of people call it aero blocking, so to say, and that's going to play a factor here, because the longer we go into these runs, the more the tires will start to degrade, and you will start to see what we're kind of seeing right now as John Ford leads the way. It's kind of more of a single file line. It's no longer that two by two, because the tires are starting to wear out. They're starting to overheat. They can't keep side by side for that long. And now they're going to start to race like this, and this is where it's going to come down to taking lanes away from each other. And when you're on the straightaway, you're going to see even that snaking back and forth to break the draft. So in the corners, you want a driver right up behind you, but in the straightaways, you want to have a driver not tucked up behind you. So it's kind of a backwards and opposite each end of the track.
As you're seeing the bump drafting of Jared Talmadge, John Forbes, risky driving that we're seeing by, for John Forbes, he doesn't want this risky driving, but for Jared Talmadge, he wants to put the issue out there as the 10 machine in a position where he'd love to get a bonus point to kind of cut in the distance between himself, Dakota Moniz, and Tyler Dangler. But where they run right now, Jared Talmadge actually would bump himself into the playoffs. So this aggressive driving, I don't agree with it on my end, but it's where the 10's feeling the most comfortable at this moment.
It was definitely aggressive there, Sam. I mean, that was pushing on the exit of the corner. Normally you save that from the straightaway, but I think Talmadge, if he continues the trend he's been on, he makes the playoffs, he will be a contender when he gets to those spots, because he's a top 5 driver week in and week out. It doesn't matter what track we go to. And I think that's going to be a huge sign here for these drivers that they let him get in. That could even be in the thought of a lot of these drivers saying, hey, we don't need to let this guy get too many points.
And the big thing I'm getting more and more nervous about, it was happening a lot during the practices. We're hoping the servers maybe a little bit more together for the actual race, but during a lot of the practice sessions, netcode, drivers being on top of one another where their invisible hitbox kind of hits another driver. The netcode has been very aggressive here at Las Vegas with how close everyone's been. It's always a worry when you're side by side that you might accidentally tap someone when it looks like you still got a foot of gap between one another. So everyone's on edge with this aggressive racing that we're seeing against one another, and the bump drafting with how risky it is.
Oh man, that was stacked up right there. Cochran was trying to get down in front of the 25 of Reed, and then Reed was, had the 24 alongside him, side drafting him, pushing him. So it's like, you're kind of stuck in a position, and you had Christopher North right there on Fonseca's quarter panel. So it's all stacked up right now with now our first 14 trucks are all within a second and a half pretty much of each other. So it is very much grouped up.
All grouped up. It was 13. Eric Hawks now joined in with this group to make it 14 in total. As Nick Crawford and Josh Kanata going to be giving each other plenty of space off the exit of turn 4. They took it very wide with one another as the side-by-side racing continues on. Christopher Norris has been able to move up 3 spots for himself. Dakota Moniz, another driver in the 5 that's moved up 3 spots. And for Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine, this race is so critical because the driver he's runs, Christopher Norris, and all Fonseca in contact into the outside wall. Everyone's got to just get around. Norris locks it down, but the second pack is rolling in. It looks to be almost contact, and it is. Major one for the second pack. The admins have to throw the yellow, and that will be your first caution of the day.
Oh man, Sam, that was a huge collision. I don't know who caught, hit Norris in that second pack, but it all started up there with Christopher Norris and Ali Fonseca. It looks like coming off of 2, making some contact. I don't know if and it was netcode actually. So then when we go back here and look at this, you'll see that as they come off the exit of 2 here, it's just going to be a gap between them. Puts Norris up in the wall, and then from off the wall, here comes the 38 down off of it into the 24, who's going to slam that wall off the right front of his truck, and then Norris is locking it down, sliding across. It looks like that was the 14 Irizarry and Tyler Dangler.
Tyler Dangler, who was tied in points for the cutoff line. That major damage is going to be critical for himself. Required damage for Tyler Dangler, and that one incident wreck on lap 17 could be the ends and hopes of Tyler Dangler trying to make the playoffs.
That is so heartbreaking for Tyler, who's had a season of ups and downs and some bright spots. You can see right here for GT, he couldn't see it. I mean, there was really all them trucks ahead of him just kind of darted left, and then all of a sudden it's just Christopher Norris's truck there. And for Tyler Dangler, I mean, he couldn't, tell where that truck's going to bounce off. It's just such a tough break for both of those drivers who really just, couldn't judge it quick enough.
He was just trying to run his own lane, and then after the contact of Norris and GT Irizarry, it just ships the 38 out of control, and Tyler Dangler just going to find himself in trouble as he gets still required damage. GT Irizarry has already called it a night, has left the server after the contact that he had with Christopher Norris. Norris actually still going to be able to get repairs done, but Ali Fonseca, Christopher Norris, Tyler Dangler, GT Irizarry, the main contenders caught up in that incident. Tyler Dangler's required damage has just completed, so he'll try to get back out on track and try to stay on the lead lap at least, while the rest of the drivers, they get ready to reset. And this is when, these mile-and-a-half tracks have been so interesting in the past, because it always felt like the last couple of seasons of the ISRC Truck Series, there would be a midway through the stage caution, and there's another one here tonight. And once again, split decision, half the field pitting for tires, some just for fuel, and then about 9 drivers deciding not even to come into pit road.
Oof, this is going to be very interesting. It's going to set up quite the restart for us here. And, I went back and even looked at it too for Ali Fonseca, who did take a pretty heavy lick, I'll say, on the right side of that truck with that hit. He's actually surprisingly not that damaged. So I think Fonseca is still going to have a chance and opportunity to work his way forward, but we'll see now. Jarrett Thomas is the first truck on those new fresh tires in 10th. What's going to be set up for him, because we know he's trying to go get as many stage points as possible with those fresh tires. I don't think he's going to be wasting much time, especially with the fall off we really started to see there. We started to see about a second of fall off. I do think this caution here is going to help bring the cooling back down to the tires, but I still think it's going to be a big difference after a lap or 2.
Well, Zach, I'm already looking at it. Jared Talmadge, Thomas Green, both just topped off on fuel. The first drivers with fresh tires actually going to be John Forbes and Danny Cochran, who took 4 sets of tires. I wasn't expecting that. If you're coming into pit road, you're most likely taking tires, and just to top off on fuel, it doesn't make sense to give up that track position, but they're going to give it up, and now it's going to be Joshua Kanata, Justin Campbell, your lead drivers, with Samuel Garcia going to be in 3rd, Ryan Ferraro 4th, Cedric Hunter, who just had a little bit of a scare there near that incident. Justin Malarkey, Jesse Thornock, and Joshua Freed. Mark Morales Jr. going to be your top 9, not deciding to come into pit road, as we are back to green flag racing. 20 laps to go before the stage is over, and to lap 40 is the stage, and Joshua Kanata risking it all by staying out.
Definitely risking it all right here. And yeah, you brought up the double 0 and 10, not taking tires. That was interesting call, because it's going to put him in the middle of the field with an old set of tires, and not make stage points very likely, in my opinion, for this 10 team. As you can see right here, they're stuck on the bottom. John Forbes, Cody Reed here, those fresher tires. Look how much more grip they have right through the middle of the corner.
They're ripping it. They're going 3 wide, almost thinking about going 4 wide. And this is that drama factor of you don't want to get close to someone around you. The netcode just brought out our first caution of the day. Don't want to be caught up in another netcode wreck, but you have to send your car if you got fresh rubber to tackle for every position possible. As everyone who's got fresh rubber has been able to move forward. Danny Cochran, John Forbes going to be the first drivers to really make those passes. Dakota Moniz, Dick Crawford, they're getting stalled out by the 10. It's all the drivers that went high that are making these big moves, but up front, it's about to get a little bit more chaotic because Joshua Kanata, he's got Justin Campbell right on his back bumper, and the fresh tires are there. Danny Cochran, John Forbes, they're willing to split the middle. We're 4 wide now for the lead, though, as Danny Cochran gonna be on the bottom. Stuck in the middle is John Forbes. Campbell, Kanata back out of it, and what a move for the lead as Danny Cochran wants to keep the lead. John Forbes willing to make the big move. Huge block, still side by side down into turn 3, and John Forbes willing to go for these big moves. Save from Danny Cochran, and Zach, you were wrong. The 11's willing to be aggressive here.
Oh, he's willing to do it. I tell you what, that was impressive stuff. Danny Cochran on the bottom of that 4 wide making the pass, and then Forbes says, nope, I got the high side momentum. I'm going to cross back under you. But Cochran got the side draft off of 4, now through 1 and 2. I think he's going to be in the prime position. But here comes the teammates. Cody Reed, does he help his teammate, John Forbes, or does Vincent Sora make sure he gets to the inside of him? So it's going to be opposite teammates here on with the help.
You're splitting up. How much do you want to help or not help the driver ahead of you? As John Forbes able to pull along. Vincent Sora kind of has been the boogeyman this season. The 15. Well, where will he go to make this move, or does he just stay in line as he's just going to be pushing John Forbes forward? The 11 fully clear. Now it's teammates battling for second place. Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora. Cody Reed will settle in 4th as they are still battling for 3 wide further on back for this lead position. It's all for this top spot as John Forbes does not want to allow Vincent Sora to get a lap lead and take that bonus point away. Oh no, trouble! Eric Kralik scattering into the wall, and plenty of other drivers connected with them. And that's going to be bringing out our second caution of the day.
Oh man, this is going to set up some interesting things, and you know, with that happening there, Aaron Kralik is wasn't the farthest out of the point situation. As Blake Kuntz just took a heavy hit in the pit road, and that's going to end his night. And oh, there goes Aaron Kralik too.
Aaron Kralik, who was 15th in the points. He is going to find himself bounced out if those drivers, if Jared Talmadge has a good finish, Dakota Moniz has a good finish, they could be bumping out Kralik and Tyler Dangler that were inside of our points entering tonight.
That he could, and man, you can just see just a lot of aggressive moves being made right through there, and I think the door closed for Kralik, and unfortunately he was there, so it just all came together. And see there the heavy hit for all those drivers. Thomas Green getting a little piece of that also in the 0-0. But yeah, the strategy from Talmadge and Thomas Green there really made me scratch my head, Sam, and I think it showed, because they were 15th, 16th, and 17th, almost both involved in that incident. It's just Malik Kuntz there in his night there for himself.
Malik gets kind of angry about that incident and will wreck his way out of that one as Eric Kralik leaves this race. That is a huge opening. Tyler Dangler should be getting 1 lap back, so it'll just be 1 lap down for this next restart for the 19. And Tyler Dangler now is just hope that your other competition gets wrecked out and maybe you can steal a spot back. But other drivers, Justin Smith, Mark Morales, they have to be feeling a lot more comfortable knowing their hopes of making the playoffs are still wide open. Thank you again for joining with us here, ladies and gentlemen, on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. The Larry Art Productions Truck Series is racing here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We are still racing in Stage 1. Stage 1 concludes at the end of lap 40, unless we have a caution at lap 30, between lap 35 and 40. 2 cautions so far, and if we look at the past races here at Las Vegas, it's been ran 4 times in the past. 3 of those races had 8 cautions. Last season, only 6, and Zach, it looks like we're going to be bumping at least up to 3 because of the stage caution that'll be thrown, but the way we're seeing these aggressive moves and different strategy calls, I would not be surprised if we see a couple of more yellows being brought out.
I tell you, I wouldn't be surprised either, Sam. It's gonna be quite the finish, I'll say. We're only on lap 28, and I've already had a few moments that kind of brought me out of my seat. So that's a good sign so far. And I tell you, it's only gonna continue to get more on the line too here as we get farther into this stage. Is that lap 40 is nearing, and we know how valuable these points are going to be for a few of these guys, and I think you're going to have to go for it if you're a little bit farther back there needing stage points.
Looks to be about 8 drivers still willing to stay out on older tires. Just getting 4 freshies. Going to be Mark Morales, as the rest of the drivers that entered pit road still getting damage repair. So watch out for the 91. They'll have a slight advantage over the rest of the field, as John Forbes, Vincent Soar, Danny Cochran, Cody Reed, Nick Crawford going to be your top 5 currently. So we're waiting for the base car lights to turn off, and let us get back to green flag racing. It gives us the opportunity to shout out the amazing sponsors that we have here at the ISRC Truck Series. As want to say thank you to Larry Art Productions for being the title sponsor of the ISRC Truck Series. Larry Art Productions is a great way to go get your entertainment on YouTube or Instagram, watching comedy, variety YouTube videos that also have reviews and discussions to be talked about. Go check out Larry Art Productions, a hilarious content creator that you do not want to miss out. And it's a big, huge thank you to Larry Art Productions for being our title sponsor for the ISRC. Also, Hot Lap Threads for being the grid sponsor and also a major sponsor for a lot of the drivers out on track. If you'd like to go get your racing lifestyle t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more, head on over to Hot Lap Threads today to go get your apparel for the perfect race day. The fuel up your passion for racing with apparel that looks as slick as the cars do on track. Head on over to hotlapthreads.com today. And we're closing in on it. Morecast, your Morecast stage winner, is sponsored by Morecast. Head on over to @Morecast on Instagram for a variety of NASCAR content, including diecast, memes, and iRacing. Also head over to YouTube. Look up Morecast for diecast reviews, racing discussions, and more. Thank you to all the amazing sponsors as we get prepared to go back to green flag racing. Tonight, the stage will conclude at the end of lap 40, or if a caution flag comes out between the lap 35 to 40, that will also count, as we're going to be having a 10-lap dash, seeing who's going to get themselves into victory, who's going to get that stage win for a major amount of points that could help you make the playoffs. It might set you up to get into victory lane later on tonight. John Forbes, Vincent Sora into the restart zone, and we are back to green flag racing for the ISRC 225. The inside lane gets rolling, outside lane does not, as Forbes is already a car length and a half ahead of Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora.
Great start there for John Forbes, but I think down the back straightaway, he's going to find out real quick how strong this draft is here, as the 2 is going to have a massive head of steam here heading down into 3 and 4. What's he going to do with it? He looks to the inside, but the 11 shuts the door. Now the 15 of Vincent Sora, teammate of Danny Cochran's going to look to the outside of the 2.
Trying to bounce to the outside, not able to do so just yet. Gonna have to settle back in line, utilize the draft. Vincent Sora stays high, gives an opening for Cody Reed for a quick moment. Cody Reed backs out for a better option, but John Forbes stays too high, and now the teammates, they'll stay in line on the inside groove. Cochran gasses up, stays full throttle, and gets a bump draft from his teammate. It's going to be seen. Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran working together on that inside groove, as the 2, he'll keep his nose ahead to try to lead a lap here.
Here we go, going to try to lead this lap, and Vincent Sora wants to also get a lap let out there because he knows that John Forbes has done a good job of already doing that himself. He wants to even that battle out here, try to, heal those wounds, such as John Forbes has opened up so far here. But 15 not able to jump up like he wants here. The 2 just not able to get far enough ahead.
Top 5 drivers, new tires. Then there's a little bit of a gap of Cedric Hunter, Joshua Kanata trying to hold back Justin Smith, as the blue 6 machine is trying to kind of be a shocker to try to find his way into the playoffs, and getting some major playoff points would be crucial. The only problem, the driver he's trying to stay in front of, Dakota Moniz, is right behind him, trying to follow in track.
Yeah, these drivers are all stacked up, like you said, and Justin Smith here with that 7 to Cedric Hunter, who, these guys on these older tires doing such a good job here just to hang on right now. If Cedric Hunter and Joshua Kanata can get stage points out of this, this is going to be a huge victory for those two.
The fastest driver on track with the best and freshest of tires. It's that 91 machine of Mark Morales. He started all the way back in 19th position. He's climbed up to 11th, about to be cracking into our top 10. Huge moves by the 91 as he's trying to get by Ethan Smith, who's trying to find his way past the 7. And Mark Morales is kind of stalled out. His patience is based off the drivers ahead of him. There's just no opening for the 91 to make these big moves unless you want to kind of throw away your race and go down to the apron. But seeing an opening, Morales will take off, make the charge forward as up front, Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, they're now going to be side by side. Vincent Sora taking the lead and leading that most recent lap.
Yeah, Vince Sora getting that bonus point for leading that lap, and now teammate Danny Cochran going to fight back here at the push from that 25 of Cody Reed, who is trying to get that oval victory, man. Cody is going to fight strong here. I think he's going to make it 3 wide here. Big move from the middle to the bottom.
Trying to build with that momentum. He'll stay 3 wide for the lead position. They head down into turn number 1. Cody Reed being pitched all the way down to the white line. He'll keep his foot in the throttle and fully clear. It's the 25 machine getting the draft help. And Cody Reed and that Terry Labonte scheme able to hold the lead for now. But here comes the diving move by the 6. Justin Smith has to back out of it. He saw the run, but smartly got out of the way.
Oh, man. Justin Smith thought about that for sure there, Sam. He was like, man, I saw 3 wide moves we make. Can I do that too? But decides to back out of it and hang on for now as Danny Cochran here riding on board. Just from the lead just a little while ago. Just shows you how fast things can change up now. Back to this 5th position. They're going to have to figure out in these 3 laps here, how can he get himself up to that lead before the stage ends.
This stage is about to get chaotic because the driver at the tail end of this lead pack in 8th place, it's Mark Morales. Morales has the freshest of tires, and the 91, it looks to be the driver willing to make some big moves as he's caught up, willing to try to get by Dakota Moniz. But Morales, will he try to get gutsy here with having just 8 lap fresher tires? He's putting the pressure and already slotting by 2, almost 3 drivers in 1 corner.
He would need these points, Sam. This is what he needs to do. So he's going out here trying to get him the old-fashioned way. And these fresher tires are definitely gripped up. You can see through the center of the corner. Just much more superior grip. If he can do it, he's going to try to get to the inside of Nick Crawford here. But Crawford covers him off. Just not able to make it happen because in front of him, Vincent Sora and John Forbes blocking each other back and forth.
You're just trusting your spotter. You're trusting there's enough space with every dashing move as we have 2 laps left in the stage. Only the top 10 get bonus points, and Mark Morales spins Nick Crawford. Crawford goes in the inside wall. We stay green. Morales already over the radio saying, I'm sorry, but we will continue to race on. That's off the racing line and only a 1-car spin. And now John Forbes trying to pull away, and Morales has to resettle as we got 1 lap left in the stage.
Oh, this is going to get crazy here with these top 3 up front. They are getting very shoving of the runs. And right now, Vincent Sora to the quarter panel, the 11 of Forbes, and the 2 of Cochran up to the quarter panel of the 25 of Reed. This is going to be side by side here coming into 3 and 4.
If you can't make it through the corner with 4 tires, why not use 8? Using up cars to your outside, inside, using every corner. And John Forbes, Vincent Sora, they're already locked in. They're racing for the regular season championship. Side by side, John Forbes is hoping for the stage win, and the 11 across the line will get the stage bonus points. They wait for the yellow, and Forbes, they'll keep that top spot.
Wow, what a fight back from the 11. I thought the 15 had the perfect maneuver there with that side draft coming in, out of 4, just not enough room, and that 11 brings it home, man. What a job by him, and he gains that 1 valuable point over Vincent Sora right there by beating him in the stage.
And also has been leading the majority of these laps. John Forbes is looking for some major bonus points here, but it might have to be a win for Forbes to take the regular season championship for himself to have the most points heading into the playoffs. As these drivers, we're going to try to get another look at this Mark Morales, Nick Crawford incident, just seeing off the exit of turn 2. As that was the exit of 4, it's going to be the exit of turn 2 where we see the contact between these 2 drivers. Morales was trying to set up the inside move, and it just was too close. Slight contact, and away the 74 went.
You can see all the way through this corner right here. Morales, painting the white line here, trying to get up underneath Crawford, and Crawford seen it happening, and I don't think he gave Morales too much room to try to make that happen because he didn't want it personally to happen. Um, and I think that kind of bit him there. So I think right there, a racing incident, but just unfortunate for Nick Crawford, who's going to catch some pretty heavy nose damage from nosing into the wall there.
Heavy nose damage and allowing now drivers at the stage break to come to pit road and get some service done. Everyone expecting to take 4 tires and fuel, as that was an incredible stage 2 watch as drivers get settled in and prepared for this next run of the race, because this next run is going to be very important for everyone. There's no more stage racing after this. It is all about taking the win and getting as much points as possible, because the big chunk of bonus points are now done and dusted.
Yeah, those are the majority of the bonus points. But I will say, they do get 10 points for winning the race. So, that might, like you said, be what John Forbes is going to need to do to beat Vince Sora. So it's going to be close between these two for a regular season championship. But they've already shown they're willing to risk it all to put it on the line.
They certainly have proven that they're willing to do so, as we're going to see if we can chime in to the 11 machine of John Forbes, our Morecast stage winner. Let's see if we can queue up that 11 machine. It's John, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Well, you absolutely gave us a show there running against Vincent Sora, Cody Reed, and Danny Cochran. But how are you feeling out there on track being our Morecast stage winner?
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's almost like racing at Talladega or Daytona out here. So I'm hoping we get some long runs in here so we can kind of spread out as it kind of did on that first run for a little bit. So because I don't think we can keep all the trucks together at this rate, racing side by side like that.
Definitely some amazing moves out there, such as that 4 wide one there heading down in the one between you and Danny. That was pretty excellent, John. So congrats first off on the stage victory, man. But if we do get that longer run, what do you think is going to be the key to holding everybody back? Do you think is clean air going to be the key, or do tires matter that much?
Yeah, the clean air helps a ton. Just keeping the lead is going to be super important. I think that's why we're seeing all these crazy blocks, and I'm trying to keep everyone behind me because it's just so important to keep that lead. And it doesn't matter how hard you go when you're in the lead. You're going to have better tires than the guy that's running second. So, yeah, really important to keep the lead, but at the same time, not going too hard at the start of the run, especially if you're not in the lead, so you can maybe have something to try later if it goes long enough. But we'll see how it goes with the cautions, and hopefully we get a long run, like I said, in here.
We're hoping for the best for you, John. We're going to send you back to your team, but thank you for the amazing race we at least got to see there for those first 40 laps.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll try to keep it exciting again on the second part of the race.
Good luck, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of the evening.
Thank you.
As that will be the 11 machine of John Forbes, finding his way, becoming the stage winner. And Zach, I mean, that 11, he made the move of the race so far. I still don't know how he made a 4-wide stick for himself.
Yeah, that move was amazing. And then right there at the end, even, I mean, to hold off the likes of Vincent Sora, I mean, with what's on the line tonight, that very well, that 1 point could come out to be the difference maker between these two. So we'll see how it all is separated once it comes down, after the checker flag happens. But like you said, if we stay side by side for this long and keep, if we do get these yellows to keep these guys together, it's going to be a race that is very, very interesting to say the least, because it's going to be tough to keep a lot of these trucks clean.
As everyone's going to be stacked side by side with the different strategies, it's now enabled some new drivers to be instead of our top 10. Mark Morales Jr. in the 91, even with his slight contact and spinning out of Nick Crawford. The 91 will be inside of our top 5 in 4th place on the outside. Also, Justin Smith's going to be in the fray here. Dakota Moniz going to be up front. Cedric Hunter started all the way back in last. He's up instead of our top 10. There's some new faces to watch out for, and the drivers that had been the top to watch out for. Jared Talmadge, he's stuck outside of the top 10. Nick Crawford's dealing with some heavy damage. This restart, this new pack of drivers, they got to be careful right now for this next restart.
That they really do, Sam. This is going to get wild. I mean, we got some new players up here. Morales now back on the even set of tires with these guys. Let's see how this all shakes out.
Well, up front, It is going to be Vincent Sora, John Force, Cody Reed. They've been up front since the start of the race. Everyone else behind them, they've slotted in new spots. They've tried some new strategies. And it's time to see who's going to be the winner of the ISRC 225 here in Las Vegas. Stage is done, and we are back to green flag racing. John Force, Vincent Sora, they'll send us and roar down into turn number 1.
And here we go, John Force with a nice little jump there to start off this one. We'll see if the run comes from behind. Like I said earlier, this is a big drafting track, so if you get that too big of a gap coming out of 2, it makes you vulnerable heading to 3. Let's see if Vincent Sora can close the gap in time.
Looks like Mark Morales was willing to be the first driver to try to duck and show a move, but Cody Reed right on the back bumper trying to make the outside groove work for himself. The faster momentum for the 25 machine. Stick into the 15. They'll stay side by side. Quarter panel, give it to the 25 as John Force moves up, enabling and helping his teammate. Now we'll drop down low, give the dirty air to Vincent Sora. Cody Reed's hoping for a big launch as John Force moves up. They'll have the draft. Will they bump draft themselves as Vincent Sora almost making contact off the exit of the corner?
Good side drafts there from Vincent Sora, and very aggressive with those side drafts because there's almost contact, but the 24 Fonseca there just with a nose inside of Cochran. This is getting close between those two. Is it's going to be the 2 of Cochran shutting the door on the 24.
Flirting with disaster back in 15th position. You don't want to get wrecked too soon. It's Dakota Moniz in the 5. Just puts down the fastest lap of the day. But Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran, they are close. And Jesse Dornick and Ollie Fonseca with the close contact. These drivers really trying to slot themselves into some tight areas that maybe they wouldn't do before, but you have to cut off drivers when they have the momentum. That's exactly what the 24 did there.
That he did, and right here, back to the outside of the 2 of Danny Cochran. He's going to try to side draft him. And here with Joshua Freed right ahead in that 39, but this grouping of trucks so stacked up. We saw earlier there was a separation, but right now, pretty much our whole pack of trucks out on track are side by side as our front group is now even, 3 deep abreast.
Up front, getting a little bit, still using each other up as John Force and Vincent Sora, but it's the second row. Now Ethan Smith, Mark Morales, they're now trying to figure out how to slot their way forward. Ethan Smith, one of the first times they surely had a chance to try to flex a still competitor up front. 99 will move up to that outside wall. Not able to get the run that he was hoping for as Joshua Kanata now in a position to try to keep some track position for himself up front. They continue to stay side by side, 2 by 2, all the way through the field for our top 21 drivers, all still collected in this pack. We've lost 3 drivers overall this evening. Eric Kralik, Malik Kuntz, as well as GT Rosari out of this race. But our front runners, that doesn't look like they're saving anything right now with this aggressive racing.
It does not look like that. There is no saving for sure right now because this grouping is just going for it. You can see even farther back, Danny Cochran, he thought for a moment to take a 3 wide on Moniz, but he's got the fall in line. And now Morales, who's stayed up here in 3rd, done a great job, really fighting hard with these guys.
Continues to stay in this track position. Literally, this is all you have to do. Just stay in this spot, don't fall back. Try to maybe lift and save some fuel, save some tires, enable and allow the front 2 drivers to stay side by side, using up their equipment. And do not fall outside of the top 5 if you're Mark Morales, and trust that you've got enough spaces. Ethan Smith's gonna now try to send it 3 wide on our leaders. They'll stay 3 wide. Mark Morales almost thought about taking it 4. Ethan Smith trying to gas it up off the exit of the corner. Watch out for Vincent Sora. He's gonna have the better run to try to take this position. He doesn't have the run just yet. We'll stay 3 wide across the line. Give that lap to John Forbes. Let's try 3 wide again into turn 1.
Here we go. Ethan Smith is ready, folks, and he wants to get out front and lead this race. Looks like he's going to be able to clear that 15 of Vincent Sora, but the 11 of John Ford will stay side by side with him down the back straightaway. And we'll see, can he get the help of Kanata behind the 16, who's now showed his way up here.
Joshua Kanata has been working his way forward. Same with Ethan Smith as they continue to fight back and forth, but that lap will be led by John Forbes again. The 11 machines aiming for that most laps led for tonight's race. But here's the thing though, no driver in the past 4 Las Vegas races have ever won after leading the most laps, as caution flags behind. Trouble for the driver of Ryan Ferraro in the 34.
Ferraro around here off of 2, and I think he might have got a little bit of help from the 38 of Christopher Norris there as we'll have to check this one out. But definitely bring into a whole what was some very exciting racing. It's like almost some contact off of 4 there between those two. Is I think off of 2 is really where you're going to see the majority of the contact that spends this 34 round.
As they go through turn 1, Christopher Norris is right on the back bumper, and I think he just keeps his foot in the throttle while Ferraro's kind of waiting and seeing what's happening in front. Gets spun around. I believe that's going to be the 39 able to just slide on by a Freed. And oh, that could have been real bad for Freed, who is one of those drivers that's just inside. He just needs a good run, and Freed would be good for the playoffs.
That it would be, and man, being those close to those wrecks, it'll definitely scare you a good little bit. We'll see, does anybody play some pit strategy here and come to pit road? I mean, we had a few that saved those sets of tires, but I don't think they're going to be willing to use them yet. But we have some people coming down pit road. Looks like from 15th on back, Nick Crawford going to lead the rest of them down.
Nick Crawford, Garcia, Norris, Freed. It's the majority of the drivers I think I've seen caught up in wrecks that have been coming in every caution to get repairs done. So I'm not surprised by the grouping of drivers that have entered pit road. But for us up in the booth, I think we're going to take our first commercial break of the night. We want to say thank you to everyone that's been joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday evening, watching the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. You're watching the ISRC 225 at Las Vegas, the regular season finale. We're going to step away. When we come back, more racing action here this evening. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. It's the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series this evening, the end of the regular season. Tonight, figure out who will be the 16 drivers running for the Season 6 playoffs. Currently, we already have around 12 drivers that are pretty locked in based on the amount of points that they've grabbed or wins that they've grabbed so far this season. As we've had another caution here tonight. In the middle of a kind of a strategy call, 4 drivers took tires. Nick Crawford, Samuel Garcia, Ryan Ferraro, and Tyler Dangler taking tires. Nick Crawford only taking 2 tires. We'll see how well he can try to climb through the field, starting all the way back in 19th. Up front, though, everyone else, same set of tires, 15-lap old ones, as we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing. The ISRC 225 is back underway. John Forbes, Ryan, going to be seeing Vincent Sora, Joshua Kanata trying to make their way forward.
Great, another great start from John Forbes. He's really got through his nail where he is getting out the box and getting big gaps, and he's getting big enough gaps to where the guys behind don't close in enough to make a move in 3, and that's going to be huge for him late in this race if we do get a green white checkered. So something to remember here. But now everybody getting back wound up. We're going to get very much close here. Now Vincent Sora looks into the outside.
Looking to the outside, and almost some slight bumping action between our 2 leaders as they exit out of the corner. Ethan Smith, big scare right before they entered into this restart. Blinked out for about half the track, but he came back. Luckily, he was able to keep his position. For the 99, he was willing to make a big move for that caution, and he's willing to make it again. Once again, same spot, same effort, inside. The 99 as well. Let's go 3 wide for the lead.
3 wide for the lead, and Ethan Smith, once again, like I said, making that move. And he is willing to do it. And Mark Morales also doing an excellent job here. But look who's made the return. Jarrett Talmadge didn't get those stage points, which, man, I think he's going to be going back and saying that he wish he would have got those. But if he can still get a top 5 finish, he's still in position, in my opinion, to move on.
Trying to still make his way forward. And for Jarrett Talmadge, the driver that he's aiming to try to stay ahead is the 5 machine of Dakota Moniz, which Dakota is all the way Bayard back outside of our top 10. For the 91, still putting all the pressure forward. Ethan Smith not able to make that pass, a lap ago. He'll have to settle and watch the continuous side-by-side battling between John Forbes, Vincent Sora, and Zach. We saw the 4 wide move earlier in the race. It just seems like a slight contact for 3rd position as Kanata as well as Smith, they have a whole deep breath between one another. But it just seems like, Zach, it's going to have to be a 3 wide, 4 wide move if you're going to get by our top 2 currently.
It really does. It seems like they have to stall each other enough out to where that 2nd row really gets that big run, and then the person who utilizes it the best on the bottom usually is the one that works out. I mean, Danny Cochran was, it was 3 wide in front of him, and he shot it 4 wide when that move was made and made it stick on the bottom. So it's going to be interesting to see coming down to the end what these moves these drivers do make, because there's probably a few times drivers could have done that maneuver, but just kind of backed out of it knowing that it wouldn't have worked.
Gun drivers that took tires under this most recent caution. Nick Crawford, who slowly is just outside of our top 10, he decided to take just 2 tires. Might be some good knowledge for later on in this race. Also, the 50 machine of Samuel Garcia and Ryan Ferraro, and the 19 of Tyler Dangler taking 4 tires. And everyone else deciding not to pit under this stage, under this pass yellow, which really settles into a lot of these drivers already have used 2 of their 4 sets here tonight. They've got to be a lot more thinking about when is the perfect time to use these final 2 sets.
That's the great question, Sam, is when do you use them? And, if we go long enough, when do you decide to maybe make a green flag pit stoppy? Strategy is going to be a very critical thing, because if you get that wrong, you pit early and you come down thinking it's going to go green and we get a yellow flag, that could end your night. So got to be smart with it. We see Nick Crawford here from this onboard. You can see he was taking it 3 wide, now 7 kind of really trying to follow him through, as it looks like everybody's stacking up once again.
We're on board with the 9 of Justin Campbell as he's slowly starting to fade back, but in front of him a lot of movement with the 7 moving forward, as well as the 74 just outside of the top 5. But Campbell, one of those drivers that qualified, was trying to qualify well for himself, just outside of the top 10, and right now just settling as he sees the 6 of Justin Smith, who's, again, some of these drivers are just outside of our top 16 in points. They are being the most aggressive that we've seen them ever be this season, recognizing track position's important and we have to be up front.
You're exactly right about that, Sam. they know how aggressive they got to be, and it's been impressive to watch a lot of these guys make those bold moves and make their way through the field. As you can see here, the 2 of Danny Cochran, the 10 of Jared Thomas, Cody Reed, Cedric Hunter kind of making his way back up here, and even Ali Fonseca. So great recovery from the 2014 there and that 10 to make their way back up here.
Where do you place yourself? How do you make these moves happen? Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca going to be side by side for the 25 and 24. So see the love you mom on the hood for the 25. Cody Reed, special scheme for his mother that he's racing here tonight. And trying to continue his way forward is this 25 machine who is inside of the top 5 for the majority of our stage and has been trying to make his way any way possible forward, but currently stalled out in 9th position.
That he is stalled out, and that's easy to do because, again, we talked about earlier how much track position matters because everybody's so even in this draft pack. It's so hard to make a difference when it comes to the speed of each other. And look at this. I mean, this gaggle just shows you it's really hard to go anywhere when everybody's just this stacked up on top of each other.
It's hard to make these moves. Ryan Ferraro trying to get by Dakota Moniz, but also a battle for the lead. Nick Crawford, after that restart, he's been able to climb his way forward with his 2 fresh sets of tires on that right side, and those 2 tires have been working well, but it's finally hit the top 2. Vincent Sora has been trying to hold back this 25 machine, this 11 and 74 machine. But how can Nick Crawford get by Vincent Sora? He's been utilizing the draft, and it looks like just raw speed as he ducks it down below the 15.
We'll see if he can make this pass and, get away. And the thing is, he's going to have the advantage when it comes superior to grip, but I just don't think you're going to have the aerodynamic and horsepower ability to pull away from this field. We'll see if it's possible here from Crawford now that he's got clean air, but we'll see how valuable the draft is and how valuable tires could be. So this will be a telltale sign for us right here.
Able to make the pass, 13 lap fresher tires than Vincent Sora, even with being involved with an incident coming to the end of the stage. Nick Crawford, fresh tires, proving how important they are as he's muscled his way from all the way back in 17th place to the lead since our last caution. As they move their way forward, this pass for the lead is kind of now given the space seen for our top 4 to kind of work with one another, stay in line, and resettle before they need to think about these next couple of laps, because we're getting to that crucial point of this race where you got to make the hard decision. How do you want to split up the end of this race with the timing that we're going to be seeing these pit stops with the timing of that first yellow in the stage break?
You're exactly right, Sam. How you going to want to split this up, and really with the cautions, how far can you go on the fuel even? So does that open the availability for more strategies open? Does Nick Crawford having 14 lap fresher tires and 14 lap more fuel, does that allow more opportunities for him? That's going to be, I think, a telltale sign here. But everybody right now is starting to feel that first effect of the tire wear really starting to kick in. And you can see small little gaps starting to form throughout our field. And this is what John Forbes said he wants to see, but it looks like the 11 going backwards as the 16's making it.
Yeah, you got to think for John Forbes, Vincent Sora, they were attacking one another side by side, lap after lap, until Nick Crawford finally got up there and split the duo up. And now going to be seeing how much wear and tear did the 11 put on those tires, rolling on the outside groove, trying to get by and hold off Vincent Sora. Sora is feeling pretty comfortable. Other drivers that have fallen back, here's where we find the 91 of Mark Morales, who's fallen all the way back outside of our top 10. He's in 14th, almost back to 15th place. Morales, the short run speed was there, but as this run has progressed, he is in trouble.
He does seem to be in trouble right now, Sam. He's fallen into the clutches of these drivers, and sometimes you when you're up front like that, you just push that much harder to stay up there, and you just overwork those tires, and that could very well have been the case for Morales now. It's just looking back like you said here.
As now Justin Malarkey, Dakota Moniz trying to slap their way by the 91. This is all battling for 15th and 16th position as they continue to go back and forth as Dakota trying to figure out where he wants to be slotted. Other drivers are starting to fade back. Ethan Smith also is almost outside of the top 10. Drivers that are moving forward, though. Jared Talmadge talked about how he was trying to make a recovery run. You also see the 6 of Justin Smith trying to move forward. And you're starting to see the group of drivers that were up front in the initial start. They're now almost the clutches of falling outside of our top 10.
And another driver on a similar strategy to Nick Crawford, Ryan Ferraro. Looks like he's made his way to 10th. He's all over back up with Cedric here. So we'll see if Ferraro can continue his march forward, because based on his lap times, he's got the speed such as Nick Crawford does. So we'll see if Ferraro can make some headway here. This could be a big run tonight for his 34th.
Ryan Ferraro, one of the drivers that decided to take 4 tires. Other drivers that did similar was Samuel Garcia, all the way back in 19th position, dealing with heavy damage, and Tyler Dangler, who's also dealing with heavy damage. Ferraro got a little bit of a spin again for himself, and at this point, taking things a lot more patient than what Nick Crawford did. Crawford was willing to march his way forward, take every opportunity. Looks like for Ferraro, it's I'll take this position when it finally gives a spot, and I'll take that spot. While this 74, on the other hand, already is up front leading this race and slightly pulling away each and every lap.
And he is slightly pulling away. Really, the big thing I'm watching is he's kind of pulling Vincent Sora along with him here. So you got the same gap that Vincent has back to Forbes as really up to the Crawford now too. So doing a good job this 15 to kind of separate himself from everybody on the same tires as him. As I'm seeing a lot of guys start to slide the nose in the center of the corner here, especially when they're really close, tucked up behind somebody. It just shows you the tires are good for a good amount of time. They're running those packs, but as you get out of that pack, it's really going to come down to your tire wear.
Majority of the field are on 36 lap old tires and fuel. They're starting to really feel that wear and tear. And this was around the zone when I was practicing with some of the drivers earlier on today, where they were actually surprisingly feeling looseness sensation. Looseness was really starting to kick in off the exit of turn 4 a lot more. Kind of shocked some drivers with how aggressive that they've been on their tires, or for some they were even taking it easy. But after you got over a 30-35 lap threshold, the tires just went the complete opposite of what they've been doing all stint long. So I'm curious if that's what these drivers are starting to feel during this run, but also everyone recognizing fuel stops are looming in the next 10 to 15 laps, mattering on how far you want to push it. It looks like one driver already hitting pit road. It's Oliver Fonseca in the 24.
Very aggressive with his stop here to come down this early, so we'll see how that cycles out for him. But one thing I am seeing, Sam, from a lot of these guys on the older tires and the older set, they're starting to move around a lot. They're trying to find the grip and find the speed, because they're starting to see that following the truck ahead of you is just not amount to anything. Now you can see Forbes, he's moved up to the middle group. Joshua Kanata, I mean, he's took it in 3 and 4 as far as you can take it to the wall. And then you got Danny Cochran on the bottom. So 3 distinct lines, all 3 quick.
I want to say again, thank you to everyone that's joining with us here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you're able to chat, we'd love to hear where you're watching us from, and as well, who are you rooting for? Which driver do you think has the chance to win here tonight? Or are you rooting for a driver just to make the playoffs? As coming into tonight, Eric Rawley, Tyler Dangler were inside of our playoffs, but after being caught up in some wrecks, they will find themselves in a position most likely not making it into the next round. Tough pill to swallow for themselves as well. Matthew Greathouse, Zach not being here could knock out Greathouse from being in the playoffs as well.
That's very true, Sam. Didn't even think personally about him not even being here. So, yeah, that is a huge, huge factor for sure. That's going to change up things. And when we do get those points updated, hopefully before this broadcast is over, usually, we'll see how that situation plays out. But right now, Crawford's still pulling away out front. Vincent Sora looks like he's actually sliding back towards John Forbes and Joshua Kanata. So this group's starting to stack up a little bit again.
Another driver going with a very aggressive early pit stop. Going to be Jesse Thornock, and just leaving pit road is Martin Morales. Front runners, though, haven't seen anyone really up inside of our top 10 make the decision to hit pit road, but it might be someone very quickly. And over the radio, Cedric Hunter was the first driver to be making that call as the battle for third rages on. Kanata right on that quarter panel. Danny Cochran trying to push along in the 16 and the 2. Saw them practicing a lot around one another. They practiced on their pit entries. I'm curious on how aggressive we might be seeing those two try to make their stops, as Cedric Hunter, a lot of these drivers, Zach pit entry, you can take it very gentle, but you also can be aggressive if you'd like to.
But yeah, you can get very aggressive, and we'll see who's been the most aggressive here. I don't know what happened to Cedric Hunter, what happened before, but it seems like he lost a ton of time from something. So yeah, looks
Oh,
like
he
he'll come
was-
into pit road.
I was looking back, and he was planning on, he just misjudged pit entry, and he just came in a little bit too fast and audibled out, luckily early enough, but then he was forced to have to pit in a lap after losing about 3 to 4 positions, as another cluster of drivers hit pit road. Vincent Sora, John Forbes, Dakota Moniz, and Cedric Hunter make their stops on this lap. This is important for Vincent Sora and everyone else. Do not get a black flag, as Dakota Moniz has done so. This now opens things up for Talmadge, Justin Smith, Mar Morales. Their chances to make the playoffs, if we stay green, are now wide open.
Oh man, this shows you how big one mistake can be for your season. We'll see if it comes back to bite Dakota there, but right now, Jarrett Talmadge in the 3rd spot, up to here with the likes of Ethan Smith, Ryan Ferraro here 4th and 5th with him. But Nick Crawford with about a 1.1 second gap over Josh McConnell. We'll see when does he flinch to come down, because he has the ability to go a lot farther than anybody. I wonder if he'll stretch that ability to keep that tire advantage, Sam.
I mean, the only problem for Nick Crawford is every lap that he stays out, he's giving up about 1.5 seconds and more as his run progresses. More drivers enter pit road. Kanata, as well as going to be Talmadge, Ethan Smith, and Mason Cassidy make their stop. Dakota Moniz finally able to leave pit road, and he is 2 laps down. Going to be at least 1 lap down once this pit cycle continues and finishes. So Nick Crawford still out on track. We're waiting for the next group of drivers, most likely going to be seeing Malarkey and others, and it's actually going to be Justin Campbell and Justin Smith making a pit stop together.
This is going to be a very interesting strategy call for this 74. I mean, we know Nick Crawford always thinking outside the box. I mean, when it comes into tonight, I mean, he really was having a quiet night until that spin there with him and Martin Morales. Then he put some kind of off strategy when he gets farther back in the field. And I mean, Sam, that sometimes his strategies don't work, but I'd say 75% of the time his off the wall strategies actually work.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those things for Nick Crawford where he had such an early win in the season back at race number 2 at Auto Club. And it kind of gave, he even said during some of his interviews of, I've got my already locked in win. Let's try oddball strategies. And here tonight, we'll see if this strategy is the one that can get the 74 into victory lane and get even more bonus points, as Nick Crawford is in that weird bubble spot in points where he's not close enough to battle for a regular season championship, and he's already locked in with the amount of points that he has. As still waiting for a few more drivers to hit pit road here tonight. The driver that's pushed his fuel the longest, Justin Malarkey, is still out there on track. 48 laps still out there, and still no sign of hitting pit road. These drivers can go about 49 to 50 laps. If you're saving fuel, might be able to go 50 or more. But over the radio, drivers get a little bit animated at one another because of how close they still are on top of each other.
Oh, everybody's stacked up. That's coming through on those fresher tires, and it's getting a little hairy. And I'm starting to do a little bit of math here, Sam. I'm thinking Nick Crawford, Ryan Ferraro, Joshua Freed. I think really everybody who's 8th on back, they can make it to 50 to go, and they will be able to make this race on 1 stop, where these other drivers are still going to have to pit once again, and they're a lap down right now. So it is going to be quite the strategy call from this group here if they've hit the nail on the head and this race continues green. I mean, unlikely, but if they get the timing right, it could very well play out where we see a lot of these drivers be on the wrong strategy, and a lot of drivers win out on the strategy.
I mean, you look back to last season here at Las Vegas, Martin Morales thought he was going to be the stealer of the show. GT Irizarry as well. Strategy calls, fuel strategy runs is what placed them in the winning position at the end of the night, as other drivers had to go with the 2-stop strategy, someone for 1 stop. And here this evening, similar standpoint. Will it be the drivers that are able to push the fuel, or could it be those that are going to go for the extra grip and speed out on course, as Forbes as well as Ali Fonseca continue to fight back and forth? This is for 9th position and what should be the lead. Ali Fonseca, who pitted earlier, he is there's not much fighting you can do at this moment. You can try your best, but the 24 is just trying to hold back the 11 as much as possible.
One of the most interesting things to me, Sam, is you had the 15 and the 11 come down pit road. I mean, pretty much nose to tail, John Forbes and Vincent Sora. But look at the gap that John Forbes has put on Vincent Sora. I mean, he has been super aggressive to get out to this gap. I don't know if Sora had a big mistake, but man, this gap is grown quite a bit as Sora had that advantage over him heading to pit road and now in a major disadvantage.
I think it was a mixture of two things. John Forbes a little bit more aggressive on his pit entry and his whole pit cycle. It was about a half a second faster than Vincent Sora. And on top of that, lap traffic pushed the 15 machine back a little bit further than where the 11 was. He was willing to be aggressive. So different strategy calls, different positionings for yourself. And it just puts all these drivers in an oddball strategy as the 15 of Vincent Sora trying to push his way forward, trying to carry along his teammates of Danny Cochran and Cedric Hunter. And sometimes maybe it's nice to have your teammates right around you as you can just work as a group trying to cut through traffic.
Oh, and I went back and had to take a look. There actually was a major incident between John Forbes and Vincent Sora with the likes of, I think, Christopher Norris. I think it was just the weird how they're all catching up to traffic, and actually some contact off the nose of the 11. The 15 almost went around, so that made him lose a major amount of time. I'm sure that 15 a little bit frustrated underneath the helmet. You can see him probably get a little bit more aggressive.
That makes a lot more sense. While I was hearing so much, everyone was just getting so animated over the radio at one another and making sense on where all that noise, the reasoning why. As Justin Malarkey, just finishing up his stop, was not able to get to lap 101 marker. And Malarkey was able to push his tires out in fuel 53 laps. The only issue is he had a caution to try to help him out for a couple of more laps. Malarkey most likely is going to have to do a splash of fuel to finish out this run, as we still have a total of 6 drivers still needing to make their first pits. Could be their last pit stop, and they continue to push their fuel out. But Zach, this is getting chaotic with these drivers getting by lap traffic and also trying to get themselves back on the lead lap.
Yeah, unlapping themselves right there. Nick Crawford is, he's got to take a deep sigh of relief that they made it through that, as these guys all come by to unlap themselves. But also, if you're Nick Crawford, you're now right here next to that pit window opening up. I think you'll see him maybe stretching a few more laps just to give him that extra buffer zone if we get some green light checkers or something. But I tell you what, the 74 might have hit the nail on the head with strategy once again, as this group continues to dice it up.
Willing to risk it, maybe doing a little bit of counting backwards. Can we even stretch the fuel out that long? Yeah, let's give it a chance. Takes 2 tires, tops off on fuel, and Crawford with his aggression to get up front, taking the lead early. As we commit back to green flag racing, it's enabled the 74 to be in this position where he is just waiting for his time to hit pit road. And these drivers are now inside the window. They can make it from here, but they're going to push it a little bit further just to make sure their fuel is good and they're not in a fuel-saving march to the end of this race. And they can just go full-bore attacking mode here tonight, as Danny Cochran going to slice in front of his teammate Vincent Sora. As these drivers, again, this is battling what is going to become second place of all the drivers that have made their pit stop. Excuse me, third place, because the driver that's leading of all drivers that have already made their stop is the 16 of Joshua Kanata.
Oh man, this is setting up for Kanata to be in a good position to possibly win this thing. I mean, or be in front of this group here. I mean, if it stays green, I think that one-stop strategy will win out. But again, that one-stop strategy, a lot of those guys, I think, may only have one set of tires left with this final stop. So, if we get a caution at some point, they may be sitting in trouble. So the strategy is still all the way open here, but Kanata has put himself in a very good spot if we get some yellow flags, in my opinion.
First driver to pit of those that pitted under our last caution, going to be Thomas Green into pit road. 4 tires and fuel for the 00 as he's about to be taking off. A lot of recovery time to try to get all this track time back. And when you're pitting this late, you are banking on that group that has already pitted to make their second pit stop of the evening. And they're going to be forced to. Question is, for this other group, how long are you willing to wait before you need to make that second stop?
That's going to be the question for sure, Sam. I think, personally, you kind of stretch it almost not as far as you can go, but stretch it pretty decently here, because you want to have some wiggle room here on your tires if we do get a yellow flag. I mean, if you go pit right now and we get a caution with 10 to go, I mean, you're going to be sitting on 40 lap old tires pretty much. So the fight with, and then you're going to be in a pretty bad spot. So I think a lot of these guys are going to stretch it as far as they possibly can go, but don't want to do too far. I think if you go too far, it could put you into a bad spot.
And still waiting for these final pit stops, and we are just around the corner for Nick Crawford, Ryan Ferraro, Joshua Free, Christopher Norris, Garcia to make their final stop of the night. Top 5. When do you make this stop? Because their fuel is about to be telling them it's now. And we've already seen some drivers like Cedric Hunter try to make their stop here, Zach, earlier on during this green flag run, and they were forced to try to, readjust because they missed their first attempt going into pit road. Some of these drivers, how far they're going to be running, they cannot miss that first attempt.
That's right. They cannot miss that first attempt, and I think Nick Crawford has just attempted. Yes, he has. He's on pit road. Nicholas Crawford coming down for his final time with going to be 45 laps to go for this race for him, and it should put him in the window to make it, but it's going to be the question of if we stay green. Ryan Ferraro did stay out, though. Joshua Freed along with him stays there. So looks like Christopher Norris also. So Crawford going to be the first one to come down, and the guys can stay out.
Lap after, Ryan Ferraro over the radio saying he's going to be pitting in this time by, as these drivers do not want to be caught up with the mistake of speeding on entry. Already Dakota Moniz was caught with that penalty, and it could be a playoff missing penalty for the 5, who had a very solid run throughout this whole entire season and got stage points that were necessary, but that one mistake under green flag conditions so crucial and hurtful for that driver, as Joshua Freed is now in his box. Everyone that was going to be making their final pit stop of the day just got done, and now they're leaving pit road. And Zach, this is the final push. And for us, we're going to step away one more time. And when we come back, we'll take you to the end. Who will be winning the ISRC 225 here at Las Vegas, the regular season finale? It's been a pleasure to cover here tonight, though. Who's grabbing the win? You'll find out here shortly as we go side by side for some more racing action. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Zach Hall. Running productions in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. Tonight's race, it has been chaotic beginnings and a calm down ending as the drivers now are into the stage of about 3/4 of our field, still need to make one more pit stop. The other quarter have already made their final pit stop of the race. Whose strategy will win out? Will it be the better tires or will it be the fuel stretching runs? We're still trying to figure out who's in the better spot, but we're guessing it's those that turned this race into a one stop from our last caution to now. But it has been a pleasure to give you all the coverage here again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam, and it's just been, Zach, a complete race of chaos at the start because we have ourselves potentially 3 drivers that enter tonight good in a better spot than others to make the playoffs, to now they're watching their playoff hopes just disappear each and every lap because they're out of this race.
That they are seeing it just wash away, and that's a tough feeling to have there. As you see, our weather conditions is still somewhat of a warm condition there for the air, but that track cool due to this nighttime conditions, giving tons of grip, and it's kind of separated everybody right now. This is different feeling that everybody's been in all night, and that's the one thing that's kind of going to be, I think, the most interesting for these drivers when it comes down to the end. Is look at Talmadge going up here trying to challenge John Forbes and Kanata. I think it's going to be interesting because we're not packed up like we are. The trucks are driving differently now. They're going to be handling a little bit differently, going to be falling off differently due to not being in that pack at such high rates of speed. This is going to be a little bit of who can adjust the most here when it comes down to this.
Yeah, I mean, also pit stops underway. Vincent Sora just coming into pit road. Jesse Thornock, Martin Morales Jr. has already made their stop. We're coming up to 30 laps to go. And like I said, about 3/4 of the field that's still running need to make a final pit stop before this race is over. They will not have the fuel to make it to the end of this run. They are about 10 to 15 laps shy. Here's another cluster of drivers. Joshua Kanata, John Forbes, as well as many of others following in suit. Talmadge stays out. Cedric Hunter stays out. Justin Campbell as well staying out. And it's that early time. Do you pit early? Do you pit later? Do you want that advantage on tires? And if you're Joshua Kanata, can kind of prove that staying a couple of laps later works out in your advantage here.
It does. It seems like if you can time it right and get that Goldilocks zone, as we like to call it up here, you can really gain a lot of time through it. But I like the strategy of coming early and aggressive here now because, if anything, you need to use those new tires to try to run down the likes of Nick Crawford. I mean, it's going to be very tough. When we see the gap of when it all shakes out, I think it's going to be quite the gap still, but it's going to be more time for them to work up to them, and you're going to need as much as they can, and really hope that the 74 gets held up a lot, because I think this one-stop strategy is just going to be too tough to beat. As you see, it's going to be about 1 lap ahead still.
It's still going to be 1 lap ahead, and for Nick Crawford, he's loving the fact of where he's at. Here, Talmadge coming into pit road is going to be gifting the lead now to the 74 machine, but the thing that is what I've been looking at is that Nick Crawford isn't, yes, he's moving up, he's running well, but he's in a similar spot he was at around that first pit cycle where he had drivers with fresher tires right around him. And Zach, you kind of looked at it a little bit deeper. There were drivers that were getting into some very chaotic moments with the slower drivers, and we are now in that zone. And also, while we were in this commercial break, we're entering the zone of 20 laps to go, where we've seen for the past, 6 races, if not the whole entire season, we've seen the late cautions come out.
Literally, if you talk to drivers, they say a lot of this season has been determined down to late race yellows. And they said, I've ran a race and I felt like I was going to get this position, and I end up getting, either better or worse. And it just seems like that's been a constant reoccurrence week in and week out. We'll see if that shows up here tonight. But if anything, Nick Crawford going to be loving the track position that he now has by having the control of the lead of this race. And we'll see, if the yellow does come out, it's going to be quite the show, of course. We're going to get them all double filed back up. But if it stays green, I think this is going to be the man to beat, of course.
And with those potentials of late yellows in the back of your mind, there's a few other drivers that are not in a window of being able to make it to the end if they stay out on track. They're going to have to pit one more time, that being Ethan Smith, Justin Malarkey, second and third drivers currently on our ticket board. They cannot make it to the end of this race. They both need to pit at least one more time. And for Ethan Smith, he's going to be the first of those two drivers to have to hit pit road, but he could stay out again for another 10 to 12 more laps. He's not in a spot where he's forced to hit pit road just yet, but banking on that late yellow to save this 99 machine.
Man, this is coming down to the wire here, folks, and you can see a lot of different strategies playing out. And I gotta give credit. You gotta stay on top of the strategy. That's the biggest thing. Know the situation of each, from each situation of when that caution comes out. I have this many laps to go. Does this open the door for another strategy? And that's where I think you gotta give credit to the likes of Nick Crawford, where yeah, he was back in a position, in my opinion, that makes it a lot easier to make those decisions, to be willing to come down and do the different strategy. But at the same time, if you're these other drivers, you got to be thinking about, man, that one stop is possibly there. If I just pit here, maybe even not take a set of tires, just get the fuel to make sure you can get to that gap. But it's always a tough decision inside the car, and that's why I think it's so commendable when a driver gets it right.
And the point of Ethan Smith and Justin Malarkey staying out as long as they are, they're actually in a better spot, I would say, than those that have already made their final pit stop of the day that went with the two-stop. Those that are inside of our top 7 that decided to go with the one-stop strategy from our last caution to now, they all still have one more set of tires left, and they're all still on the lead lap. So if we get a caution, they're in a prime spot to be okay if we get that late yellow. The rest of the field that made that two-stop strategy while we've been under green, they're out of tires. Every single one of them that went for that strategy are out of tires. They're stuck with the set that they have.
You're exactly right. I mean, this is going to put quite the hamper on the field. And I mean, look at some of these guys are having some of their best runs of the season. If you're Malarkey, you're running for a top 3 right now, where this season, oh man, looks like almost got the wall there. This season has just not went the right way for him, and right now Green going to be putting the pressure on for sure. But still, nonetheless, if you're Malarkey, you could be looking at top 5.
Making a late pit stop, what was needed is Dakota Moniz. It's just going to be heartbreaking for the 5 machine. Also for Tyler Dangler, both were tied for the cutoff spot, and both are going to be finishing outside of the top 20. Also, Aaron Kralik, who entered into tonight 15th in points, he's going to be finishing outside of our top 20. And GT Rizari entered tonight 12th in points. Talked about how he should feel secure, but he was caught up in that first wreck, left so early. He technically doesn't have a big enough buffer. If one of those drivers in the cutoff spot of Jared Talmadge, Justin Smith, Mark Morales find themselves in a victory lane, it could be knocking GT even out of the playoffs.
What a wild scene that would be. I mean, his night ended with a bang for sure, and that would end his regular season in a very downturn for him. So that wouldn't be good, but we'll see how it plays out. I mean, anything is possible in racing, they say. So we'll see how this shakes out. But right now, Green continuing put that pressure on for third from Malarkey, just not able to find a way around it.
Not able to find a way around it. Justin Malarkey, again, are those drivers that cannot make it to the end of this race. That 73 is going to have to pit unless somehow he finds a miracle of saving 7 extra laps on top of the extra fuel that he had to save before. And I just don't see that being even possible for the 73. But Mark Morales, who already pitted, you're going to see that grip level and the difference in speed as the 91 just hooks it up on the inside and able to pass 2 drivers in 2 corners.
Man, you see, yeah, like you said, the grip difference, and it's pretty big. And you can see how fast he got by those 2. So we'll see. Now down the straightaway, Malarkey's going to get that draft. And it shows you again, even though you got the older tires and he blows by you on the corners, you get that big old draft going down the straightaway. These trucks punch such a big hole there with 19 to go. Everybody wondering, will it stay green? Will this race stay the way it is? Because it is definitely a fascinating one if it does.
Again, two drivers that have to pit that are inside of our top 5. Second place runner Ethan Smith, third place runner Justin Malarkey. Everyone else on track is good to race it to the end of this race. They have enough fuel, they've got enough tires, except for those two that are banking on a caution flag to come out. As we see Malarkey, also Thomas Green battling for this third place position. The more that they battle, it's actually enhancing fifth place runner Ryan Ferraro. He's now catching up to this group. At one moment, he was about a second back, but because of Malarkey's speed and Thomas Green staying together, it's enabled the 34 now to catch up to this group and might be able to pass both.
It very well could. I mean, Ferraro could be looking at a P2 finish here, Sam. This could be a career day for this 34, and what a timing for that too here at Las Vegas. And I mean, just playing the strategy exactly to T. And I mean, at some points he was even catching Nick Crawford, so he's done very, very well. And if anything, even if the yellow does come out, he's sitting in a position to fight for a possible race win.
Into pit roads, Ethan Smith. It's now going to move all this entire group up a spot. Now the battling for second place, and Ryan Ferraro entering tonight. Out of the 7 races that he ran, 0 top 10s, 0 top 5s, no poles, no wins tonight. Could be the finish of the season for the 34 machine as he's trying to duck down low on Thomas Green. And this is the most crucial pass. Get by that 00 and wait on the 73 to finally hit pit road.
Look at this right here, side by side action, and you're going to see this 34 try to pull the side draft off and also get the draft from the 73 up ahead. It's actually going to pull that 34 nose ahead here, entering into 1, and now Ferraro going to have the opportunity to try to clear this 00. It's not going to be easy. Thomas Green going to fight for everything because he needs a win to get in.
And as we continue to look at the difference, 15 laps to go. There are a couple of other pods of drivers running around one another. This is the pod racing for second place. There's also a pretty big group racing for 7th. That's John Forbes, Joshua Kanata, Garcia, and Danny Cochran. 4 drivers on top of one another. They're kind of in their 2 little separate battles between the battle for 7th and the battle for 8th. But they're close enough that, you know, anything can happen, especially with the way that Danny Cochran and the 50 have been running around one another. Another pod of drivers is the battling for 11th place, where we have Jarrett Talmadge, Cedric Hunter in the 7, Cody Reed in the 25, as well as Justin Campbell. They're on top of one another, and any small little bad bump could spin someone out and send us into a caution that could reset and change everything here, as we do have overtime attempts if needed. We have 3. Out of the past 4 races, they needed to go into overtime 2 of the 4 times.
They could very well be used once again here tonight, Sam. I tell you, it's definitely on the table still, so to say. And you see right now Cody Reed trying to set up maybe a pass back on Cedric Hunter, but Hunter going to close that door down into 1 as 13 laps to go. It is getting very spicy out here on track.
As drivers trying to settle in these final 12 laps, where will you be placed? Again, we hope to give you the finalization of the 16 drivers that will be making the playoffs once we get into our interviews, as the admins will be trying to get the points out to us officially on who's in, who's out, as this race will conclude, as there are a few drivers that we can almost certainly say are out of the playoffs. Matthew Greathouse did not show up today. He's most likely out. Tyler Dangler most likely not going to be making. Eric Kralik, he had a 7-point buffer to work with, and the way that some of these drivers are running, I don't think that's going to be enough. So we might be seeing 3 drivers that came entered into tonight's race inside of the top 16 might be bounced out. And for Nick Crawford, if 74 gets a win here tonight, he will tie the most wins of the season at 4 with Vincent Sora. If, again, the 74 can get into victory lane as he crosses the line, 10 laps to go here tonight at Las Vegas.
6.5 second gap back to Ryan Ferraro. Crawford's just got to be nice and smooth, no worries for him. The only thing he thinks about is keeping this race clean and green to the end. He's just trying to complete laps. Ferraro, though, did make the pass on Justin Malarkey, and Malarkey's still holding on the 3rd. I think Malarkey, looking at it, Sam, you know, he's going to be close on fuel. He was pushing the boundaries there at, you know, around 48, 50 laps, and I think he could very well be very close to making it.
He just pitted, for my liking, just 3 laps too soon, and he even had the pit stop, I mean, with the caution help. So the 73 is going to be close. is crossing his fingers, maybe clutching a little bit more than other drivers when they enter into turn 3. But the 73 hoping for the best as Nick Crawford, Mason Cassidy, they stay in line. And right now for Nick Crawford, not looking like he's going to be trying to make a pass on the 17, but for Mason Cassidy, he's just settling in for now, right in 19th position.
Yeah, yes, Cassidy just kind of just running here for now, just hanging out, as so to say, on that tail end of the lead lap, just in case we get a caution. But right now, the likes of John Forbes, they've caught up to Christopher Norris and actually just got past him. So him and Kanata have now made up another position. So that's Forbes putting himself up to 6. Vincent Soar back in 15th. That should push John Forbes to win the regular season championship if it stays this way.
And it's if it stays this way, because Joshua Kanata does have the better tires, and Christopher Norris is not giving up that 7th place position with 7 laps to go. Too many 7s maybe in line for Nick Crawford's liking, or is it the perfect combination to get into victory lane as the 11 and the 19, the 16, they will drive on by Christopher Norris, no longer going to be a factor. And for Forbes and Kanata, they continue to stay in line. Their next target, can they catch up to Joshua Freed?
It's going to be the question for them. It's still, I think, a little bit maybe out of reach for them. They're only about 2 to 3 tenths quicker than Freed the last time on it. And with about a 6.5 second gap, I don't see them catching it. This will be a caution. And Malarkey does come down, Sam. So like you said, you felt like about 3 not to the good. He's going to come down with 6 to go. And I feel that 3 to go probably he would have been running out.
It's just one of those things where you put the pressure on and miscalculate. Maybe you didn't save enough or clutch enough during pace laps. And now going to see Malarkey falling all the way down. Now he's going to be hoping to get maybe a top 20 if he's lucky with 6 laps to go, soon to be 5, as Ethan Smith just rips the top, trying to get himself back onto the lead lap. Other drivers of Dakota Moniz also trying to get back on at least one of the 2 laps back. Tyler Dangler, Dakota Moniz, both 2 laps down. First driver 1 lap down, going to be Mark Morales Jr. in the 91. And Ethan Smith, who's trying to catch up to the 74. Currently on the rails is Nick Crawford. As the laps continue to tick away, 5 laps to go. Now make it 4 for Nick Crawford. The season 4 champ is trying his best to propel himself into a great situation into the playoffs to try to go for his 2nd championship. And we got a couple of drivers trying to aim for their 2nd ever championship. Or will the trends continue of us having a new champion every single season? First 5 seasons, it's been someone different, but here tonight, setting up for the playoffs, 7 races after tonight. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a grueler. And the ISRC Truck Series, we are 3 laps away from getting prepared for the playoffs next week.
I think it's going to be the most competitive playoffs they've had. I mean, like you said, we got the champions from the past all here, ready to do battle and sort it out and say who can maybe be a 2-time champion, or will we add another person into that illustrious group? I mean, it's been amazing to watch all these seasons come together here on Freaky Fast, and it's continuing the competition level to step up season after season. And with 2 to go here for Nick Crawford, he's looking to maybe possibly get another victory to tie Vincent Soar for the most this season.
2 laps to go for Nick Crawford, and if we get a yellow, we head into overtime. The 74, though, he's crossing his fingers. He's hoping it stays clean and green as the 74 trying to grab his 4th win of the season. I went back, looked at the amount of winners. This season, it's been dominated by just 5 drivers able to get into victory lane. And 1 more lap to go to see if Nick Crawford can tie for the most winnish driver at 4 wins. Here we go, your white flag presented by Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Nick Crawford, here we go for number 4.
Here we go, man. What a gap for him. No worries down the back straightaway. He's got Cassidy, who's been there for majority of the run, but it's going to be no worries for the 74 crew.
Nick Crawford trying to tie the most winningest driver of the season. Exits out of turn number 4, and the Las Vegas native gets himself into victory lane. Nick Crawford wins. Trouble, though, happens for 5th place. John Force, Joshua Kanata get into one another. It's going to enable Danny Cochran to get by, and a few other drivers. And Joshua Kanata from a battle for 5th. He'll fall outside of the top 10. And it's going to be some good talking points between those drivers as Crawford, Ryan Ferraro, and Thomas Green will be your top 3.
Oh man, what a crazy finish. And Crawford, like you said, the Las Vegas native, gonna get it done and just rolling the dice, man, once again with strategy. And you had to gamble here at Vegas, it seems like tonight.
Everyone else that decided to make that pit stop went with 4 tires. The lone 2-tire strategy on that last caution flag pit stop. Got the fuel, got the tires, and the 74 wins by over 7 seconds on the rest of the field. Congratulations to Nick Crawford as he gets to have fun burning it down. We are going to step away. We're going to talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver right after this for our Freaky Fast post-race show. Congratulations to Nick Crawford. We'll be back right after this. Decided to stay out. Drivers that are just leaving now, topping off on fuel, were drivers that were part of that also earlier pit stop. J.K. Rosari and Travis Everett can just top off on fuel. Oli Fonseca back out on track, gonna be back in 10th place for the 24 machine. As the drivers get out there on course, we'll see if we can actually talk to the 24 machine of Oli Fonseca, get his thoughts of becoming our Morecast stage winner. We'll queue up that 24 machine. Ollie, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Ollie, stage winner, took the gamble under our first caution of the day, taking tires, and it's worked out perfectly for yourself, man. How are you feeling out there on course, being our stage winner, but going to be starting in the middle of the field?
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to rebound after my horrendous mistake there. Man, that was rough. I just felt like I got the air taken off the spoiler there. I think Cody kind of tucked up behind me, and I don't know, I just lost it. And credit to all the guys around me for saving it there, and minimal damage. I think we're going to be just fine. So yeah, I took those tires, drove through the field, got that bonus point for the playoffs, so that's always good. So yeah, we drove through there once. I think we can do it again.
Definitely was a impressive drive there, Ollie, man. I tell you what, it was fun to watch. How hard was it to, bounce back from that and not kind of get down on yourself after that start? Because, with so much good track position, to lose it that early, how?
You just got to look at the big picture. And credit to my spotter, Brandon. He does a phenomenal job of keeping my head in the game. I could have very easily let that, snowball into a bigger problem, but, we rebounded. Had an opportunity to make a call, made the call, drove up through the field, and got the stage win. So we're just going to keep on being patient.
Well, Ollie, we're still waiting on the pace car lights to go off. I know tonight a little bit more of an important race for you. The floor is now yours to talk about Bobby if you'd like. Otherwise, we'll send you back to your team.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you guys so much for allowing me to do this. For Bob, I owe Bob so much. He's done so much for my career. He's taught me everything I know about fabrication and really being able to work.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting's post-race show for the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series Season 6, the regular season finale here at Las Vegas. The winner going to be Nick Crawford in the 74 machine. This is going to be his 4th win of the season, tying Vincent Soares as the most winningest driver this season. Nick, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. How does it feel to be a 4-time winner before the playoffs even start?
It feels good, Sam. I'm glad to be here, and 2 in a row, and hometown win here, even though it's virtual. But I think I've only ever won here once before in a different league, but it was in the truck, and a 2-tire strategy that got me there too. So it feels nice.
Definitely got to be a good one, Nick. Congrats again on 2 in a row, 4th of the season, tying Vince Soares for the most wins in the regular season. What a way to close it out. Take us through it. You had to bounce back through a lot there because, you had the contact between you and Martin Morales that, you had to go head first into the wall. Was that the thing that kind of opened up this door for the strategy for you?
Yeah. Again, to tie Vincent Soares with wins in a season, that's awesome. He is really good at racing on iRacing, so that feels really cool. But for the race strategy, yeah, I knew it was going to be a lot of drafting, and it was hard to make any kind of positions. And then I need to change the paint scheme on the back end of my bumper because Martin really likes it. No hard feelings at all. It's fun though. Being locked in, you can be okay with those kind of moments, though. I hope he doesn't feel bad, especially now. But after that, yeah, it kind of opened up that I know that we could make it 46 laps around there on fuel, and it was actually Norris who said he was going to come down for fuel, and I was like, you know what, me too. And then after that, it just kind of lined up, and the run worked out, and I was lucky enough to where they couldn't make up as much time because the way the truck drove. I mean, you just have to be full throttle the whole time, anyways. And then also got to give a shout out to Mason there, Mason Cassidy. Go Mason! He was helping me there, whether he wanted to or not. But I was drafting off of him for that last run, and it definitely helped me keep a lot of time on him.
I mean, looking at this season, Nick, it has been incredible to watch yourself, have your 4 wins. What pressure are you feeling being a past champion? I know Vincent's probably one of your top contenders, but what does it feel like knowing you've got a chance to become the first 2-time champion if your playoffs go the way you'd like?
Well, yeah, that's the thing about these playoffs is you can have 90% of the season won or whatever you come out with, but it really just comes down to the last race. So being fast makes people think about you and makes them race you different. And that worked out for me in season 4 when I got the championship. It made people race a lot harder around me, and I ended up getting around that. So it really just comes down to the last race. So you can have as many wins as you want, but it's that last track where you got to be the best.
Well, Nick, again, congratulations on your amazing run this season to get you to this point and your win here tonight. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
As always, I need to shout out my beautiful wife. She's amazing. She's in her finals week, so she's suffering at school right now. But hopefully, I don't know, maybe this win can help her make feel better, even though it's my win. But who knows? Shout out to my teammates. They're the best around. I love racing with them every week. Even Tyler in there, too. He's basically a teammate at this point. Love racing with them. Shout out to you guys for putting on a great show. I love watching these the next day at work, even on my lunches. I stay a little bit longer just to make sure I finish it. And then shout out to the admins for putting on this league. It's a lot of hard work to be unbiased and put on good races, and they do a great job most of the time. But that's it.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight for the ISRC 225 at Las Vegas. Nick Crawford grabbing his 4th win of the season. Congratulations, Nick, on this win, and good luck into the first round of the playoffs.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to 2nd place, where we get to talk to a driver that, honestly, entering tonight, I don't know if this was the position he thought he was going to finish at all. We've got the 34 of Ryan Ferraro with us. Ryan, 2nd place finish, your best finish of the season. What a time to get it on the last race of the regular season. How are you feeling after that amazing run you just had here tonight?
I don't know. It's still kind of surreal. Don't really feel like I should be here after getting spun, but I'll take it. And honestly, that was a really fun race.
Definitely a great race to watch from our standpoint too. Also, Ryan. So congrats, man, on 2nd. I mean, take us through the strategy there, because it seems like you along with our leader of Nick Crawford comes down there under that caution there, gets the tires and fuel, and that really seemed to be the way to call. Did you know when you came down there that was going to open up the door for that strategy?
I don't really think I did know until Josh started saying like, "Hey, let's save as much as we can." So I started saving immediately out the pits, and then I think throughout the run, I started to realize I can make it only on one stop, and that's all I was focusing on, was making it to like that 104 to 106 range, and I didn't know which one I wanted to do. I think I should have went at that 104 mark, just to try and catch Nick a little further, but I just wanted to play it safe and make sure I finished the race.
I mean, Ryan, again, an amazing run for yourself, showing that fight after being spun so early. After this amazing run you just had here tonight, what's the mentality for these final 7 races of the season? What's your ultimate goal for these next 7 races?
I'm just gonna go out and have some fun. I'm not really in the fight. I'm kind of excited to see who's gonna win the championship this year. So I'm kind of I'm glad I don't have the stress of the playoffs like I did this year. I can kind of build momentum to hopefully go into next season with a lot more momentum, sort of like I did the previous season. Hopefully, this just builds that.
Well, Ryan, again, congratulations on second. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
I guess first I have to shout out Norris for spinning me and helping my race out there. I also want to give a shout out to Cody's mom. I know their family's going through a lot with the stroke, so I hope we're all here wishing her a speedy recovery. Um, I want to say thank you to my team, Team Wesson. James is such a great owner. Josh, Martin, Sam, you all are great guys. Love racing with you every week. And I also have to thank my friend Fee. She pushes me to do this every week, and she's been my biggest supporter for so long. So I have to give it to her. And you guys for putting on the broadcast and all the admin for putting this on.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to cover here tonight. That will be your second place finisher in the 34 machine, Ryan Ferraro. Ryan, congratulations on this second place finish and good luck next week at Atlanta.
Thank you.
As we move from second place, we go down to third, where we bring in a driver that has had some, I would say, miserable luck since returning back, but back to form, you could say, for the 00 of Thomas Green. Thomas, I know this season, coming back after missing the last couple of seasons, we've missed you. We're happy you're back, but man, how does it feel to get a top 3 finish after the rough season you've been having?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back racing with you guys and talking to you guys up in the booth. I've been waiting to get up here for the whole regular season, and we finally did. Just come up a little short. I love this league. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of ups and downs. I feel like I've had a lot of good runs that have kind of gotten spoiled, and I'm glad that tonight, I just wanted to capitalize the best we could and salvage after what happened. I mean, this whole season has been rough, and it kind of lit a fire under me, that wreck, because I knew I wasn't probably going to win the race. So I was like, well, now I'm just going to go out there and see what I can do, try to get in the booth so I can finally get an interview this season. But yeah, I mean, it's been tough all season long. I mean, we had so many runs where we feel like we could have finished top 5 or top 10, and we got spun. And yeah, definitely an emotional roller coaster, but didn't give up. And I'm glad that we could get a top 3 today.
Definitely a great run for you, Thomas, man. Trust me, we've seen definitely the ups and downs it's been for you there for this season with the comeback, man. But, definitely these playoffs still looming, even though you're not going to be in them. What do you think you can take away from them with these races to kind of build up some momentum maybe for next season?
Yeah, absolutely. And, the mission's not done yet. The mission this season is to try to win a race. I mean, we're going to have to race a lot of the super competitive playoff drivers to get one, but that's the main goal, really, is to try to push ourselves and try to get a better finish and just keep showing that we should have been in the playoffs, and definitely set us up good for the next season. And that's definitely something I'm focused on now. I'm more hungry than ever. And yeah, I was say to the playoff drivers, I'll race you clean, but watch out. I'm going for one.
Well, we're happy to hear that aggression from you and excitement. We're excited just to see you perform at the high level we know that you can, Thomas. With that wanting of getting into victory lane, how is it also going to be for yourself, knowing that your teammate also made the playoffs of Jarrett Talmadge? How are you planning on racing together for the rest of this season?
Yeah, that's been something that we've been talking about throughout the different scenarios of who makes the playoffs and who doesn't. And, obviously, I'm going to try to do my best to not be in his way. There's definitely going to be some weird scenarios coming up, but we've got so many laps together. I mean, there's not one guy in iRacing that I can't get closer to in the middle of a league race for no reason and just side draft and just throw crazy moves to each other. I mean, you guys have seen what me and Jared can do when we're behind the wheel and battling, but yeah, we're comfortable. I think we'll be all right. I'm not going to try to affect his season. I still want to get a Planet Sim car up at the front, so hopefully, the main focus for him now is just go and try to win a championship.
Well, we can't wait to see how yourself and Jarrett race for the rest of this season. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Just big shout out to my girlfriend Anna. She's been my anchor throughout all of this, all the ups and downs and the tough races. She keeps telling me, you've got speed, you've got talent, you can do it. I know you can, and I just love and appreciate her very much. And big shout out to you guys for his broadcast. I'm glad I could finally get up and talk to you guys, and hopefully it's not the last time this season.
Well, we've been missing you, Thomas. Congratulations on this third place finish, and good luck on the rest of the season trying to grab that win.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from third place, we go down to fourth place. Get to talk to another driver that is in the playoffs. We go down to talk to the 39 of Joshua Freed. Josh, what a run for yourself and what a season. With the season being regular season over, 12th in points and a top 5 finish to cap off this regular season. Man, how are you feeling after your performance here this evening?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. Love that the strategy had worked out in my favor today, so that was really nice. And staying out of a lot of the wrecks, Vegas can usually be pretty disastrous to get caught up in wrecks because it runs like the super speedway. But yeah, I mean, I think this year I finally caught some breaks, didn't get wrecked out as much, and was able to string together some good finishes, finally make the playoffs. So it feels good.
Definitely a great season for you so far, Joshua. Will be definitely watching how you do once these playoffs start next week, man. But you know, we talked to a few of the other guys about their strategy. When you came down under the caution there, that really set up the strategy for y'all. Did you know that that was the case, or were you just kind of like going with the flow right there and just felt like that was the right time to pit?
I didn't even know that was going to end up being the case. I just got lucky. I got a 4X missing Ryan on that wreck. So I just wanted to pit and make sure I had no damage. And then obviously I filled up. And then, starting that next run, I realized that, I might be able to make it. So yeah, I just lucked out there, I think, being at the right place to pit.
Well, Joshua, I know this season you're coming into the playoffs 12th in points. You've had a couple of really good runs for yourself. I feel like these last couple of seasons, we've really seen you grow as a driver and get some good finishes that you've deserved. What is the confidence level and what is the goal heading into these playoffs that will start next week?
Oh yeah, I mean, confidence is pretty good. I know there's much better drivers in this league, but sometimes chips fall in your favor like it did tonight, and anything can happen. So I'm just going to go out there, maybe think more off strategy, see if I can't get this out to work, to work another time and see what happens.
Well, I cannot wait to see how you're going to perform in the playoffs. But before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
I just want to thank you guys and thank the admins of the league. It's always fun running here every year. So, win or lose, I always enjoy coming each week. So thank you guys.
Well, that will be the 39 machine of Joshua Freed coming away with the top 5 finish in 4th place. Congratulations on that run and good luck upcoming into this first round of the playoffs.
Thanks, guys.
Well, as we move away from our interviews, surprising a lot of drivers on where they finished, absolute incredible runs for themselves. As we get ready to take a look at our unofficial results, talked about how the points were going to be shocking based off the different strategy calls the drivers went with, where they were running in the beginning of this race, maybe in the middle of this race. It would have been perfect for a lot of drivers to maybe steal a spot in the playoffs. And after we take a look at these unofficial results, we'll talk about who's in or out of the playoffs for this Season 6 championship run. But taking the top spot here tonight for his 4th win of the season is the 74 of Nick Crawford. Ryan Ferraro will take a 2nd place finish, his best finish of the season for that 34 machine. Thomas Green will finish 3rd. Joshua Freed will finish 4th. Danny Cochran able to recover for 5th place. John Forbes takes 6th. But man, his contact with Joshua Kanata there late could have been worse for the 11 machine. As 7th, we find Christopher Norris. 8th is Jared Talmadge. 9th is the 7 of Cedric Hunter. And Cody Reed finishing out our top 10.
And as you look through the rest of the order there, you see Kanata right there in 12th. That was the contact from him. And Ford was battling for 6th on the last lap, slots him down the 12th. Also, Vincent Soar back to 14th. He actually is going to end up being, I believe the regular season champion too, with the tiebreaker after finishing 14th. So that right there could have been the make or break position for him for doing that. And what a crazy finish for him with him getting that looks like damage on the rear that really held him up. But he looks like farther back, Ethan Smith falling back to 20th, Malarkey in 21st there, running 2nd and 3rd there late in the race, just trying to catch a caution. And also Tyler Dingler back in 23rd with that early damage. That's going to knock him out of the playoffs.
Remember that 0-1 finishes 25th. Remember that number where he finished, because we're going to go down the list of drivers that made it and did not make it into the playoffs. First and foremost, like Zach said, it is Vincent Sora with the tiebreaker. He has more wins than John Forbes, which will give that 15 machine the regular season championship. 2nd in points goes to John Forbes. third in points, and we'll move on into our playoffs as Danny Cochran, Nick Crawford, fourth driver to make the playoffs, fifth driver to make the playoffs is Christopher Norris, Cody Reed, Ollie Fonseca, Joshua Kanata, Cedric Hunter, and Justin Campbell will be our top 10 drivers. In the final 6 to make the playoffs, Mason Cassidy, Joshua Freed, GT Irizarry sneaks in even with his 26th finish here tonight. Your biggest mover in points, and points his way in is Jarrett Talmadge, 14th driver to make it in. Dakota Moniz, he had his ups and downs here tonight. He'll take 15th in points. And the last driver to make the playoffs, Aaron Kralik, by 3 points, over Justin Smith. Kralik, who automatically dipped out after his wreck early in the race, finishes 24th, and he's in the playoffs.
Oh man, that was so close. And Dingler, who was wrecked out early, I mean, he only ends up being 5 out, I believe. So, I mean, that wreck was huge for him. Even Morales, I mean, he's only 10 out from there. I mean, lots of definite drivers that could have sit me and saying, what if? And others just skating through to make it.
It is heartbreaking for some, elation for others, and that's what the regular season coming to the end to set up the playoffs gives us, is that high and lows for some of these drivers. I know for some they wanted to make the playoffs, but like we heard from Thomas Green, hey, for some, it's not over yet. Go be the stealer, be the thief of the night. Next week's the best time to try to change up and shake up how the rest of the playoffs could be running out, because we've got ourselves 2 races in the first round that look to be the toughest round of any of them in the playoffs for season 6. Atlanta, Bristol are the next 2 races that we'll figure out when we go from 16 drivers down to 12.
It's going crazy.
It's going to be a wild one for sure, Zach.
Yeah, I don't know how much is going to carry over from tonight. I know some guys are frustrated with each other and some flair, but it's going to be a wild one.
We cannot wait for in the playoffs to begin next Monday night for the ISRC Lara Productions Truck Series. Our Tuesday and Wednesdays are currently off as the BRB Cup Series and the WSSR Cup Series both have finished off their seasons a couple of weeks ago, as we have Gavin Rogers, your champion of the BRB Cup Series, and Benjamin Nelson, the winner and champion of the Wednesday night WSSR Series. But we will be back for more racing coverage Thursday for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Those next-gen drivers coming off a very drama-filled late race yellow that changed the race to finish under yellow. There was a lot of drama on where drivers were supposed to finish. It looks like they've cleared that up, but it is exciting to see how drivers are going to tackle Thursday night. It's going to be a fun one. You don't want to miss out on it. And if you do, we'll be right back here next week. Atlanta, the start of this playoffs. Zach, this is what the whole entire season is mounted up to. Playoff racing, the ISRC. This is when this league really hits its stride and the best moments of the season.
It really does. This is when everything gets put on the line. Everybody gets, put into a little bit more of a pressure cooker, so to say. And that's where we usually see our most crazy finishes from this league. So I'm excited. We got lots of new names that have made the playoffs. That's cool to see. Lots of guys that are from the past, new, coming back. And we got some champions ready to go out there and duke it out and see if maybe they can be the first 2-time champion here, or maybe even see if someone else can add their name to it.
Well, I think the thing that makes it the best is our top 4 in points entering the playoffs is our 4 former champions. The only champion we're missing is Trenton Jump, who did not race this season, but the other 4 champions, top 4 in points, entering the playoffs. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be a blast to watch next week. Atlanta in the trucks, super speedway type racing. It's going to be a blast. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hull and Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's been a pleasure to give you your Monday night coverage. Las Vegas, give it to Nick Crawford, the Las Vegas native, to get his 4th win of the season. Congratulations to Crawford. As for us, we will be stepping away. Next week's going to be a blast at Atlanta, but if you want to see some racing action before then, Thursday night, it's going to be a good one. Do not want to miss out with the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. The open setup next gens always put on a show. You don't want to miss it. That will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.